Chapter 1125. 1125 Chapter 1125 Defeating a Big Shot. What are you shouting for? Fight! Lu Ming raised his fist and punched at Shirdu continuously. Shirdu roared in anger and tried his best, but it was useless. He was defeated by Lu Ming's fist and landed heavily on his body. The lion's huge body shook like a drum, and its soft golden fur was beaten into a mess. In the end, it was broken and flew on the platform, making the platform golden. I can't waste it. Lu Ming waved his sleeve and kept the golden fur that had fallen from Shirdu's body. This was an incredible treasure. If it was woven into a robe, it would have a strong defensive ability and would be impervious to fire and water. Some people in the crowd were envious. This golden fur was a rare treasure. Roar! Shirdu looked up at the sky in shame and anger, wishing he could bite Lu Ming to death. Unfortunately, he could not do it and was even forced to retreat by Lu Ming. In the end, Lu Ming simply rode on the lion capital and swung his fists wildly. The lion capital roared in anger and sorrow. It even rolled on the ground, but it was useless. It could not shake off Lu Ming. Every punch of Lu Ming's was terrifyingly powerful and suppressed everything. It kept smashing on the lion capital's body. With every punch, the lion capital felt that its bones were about to break and blood kept flowing out of its mouth. A demonic beast's body was extremely strong, especially a demonic beast like him who had 90% of the divine beast's bloodline. His body was even stronger. However, he still could not withstand Lu Ming's iron fist. Bang! In the end, the lion fell heavily to the ground, gasping for breath. Even the lion was defeated. This thought flashed through everyone's mind. Before this battle, no one would have thought that the Lion City would be defeated by this strange commander of the law enforcement army. This was like a fantasy story, but it was the truth. Although the lion capital was ranked last among the 5 giants of the central continent, no one dared to underestimate its strength. Those second-grade heavens favorites would only be crushed by the lion capital. But now he was no match for the commander of the law enforcement army. How is it? Are you convinced now? Be my mount. Lu Ming stepped on the lion capital and looked down at him. Roar! The lion howled madly and soared into the sky, rushing out of the platform. Even if he were to lose, he would drag Lu Ming down with him. Nest, come at me. Forget it. I'll spare you this time. Lu Ming's figure moved, and his body flew backward. He kicked Shirdu's buttocks and sent him flying far away, landing outside the platform. Lion City defeated. Shirdu let out a long roar as if he wanted to vent the depression in his heart. After a dozen roars, he transformed into his human form and sat on the seat of the Lion Tiger Hall with an extremely gloomy expression. He had actually been eliminated before he could make it into the top 10. The main reason was that he had to deal with Lu Ming, which led to him being eliminated early. At this moment, there were only Tulivir people left on the platform. Kong Lin was still chasing after Emperor God, but the Emperor God used the space mentality and dodged with all his might instead of fighting Kong Lin. With the Emperor God's cultivation and the mystery of space mentality, it was still difficult for Kong Lin to catch up with the Emperor God, even though he was very fast. Buzz. At this moment, Kong Lin stopped. He did not continue to pursue the Emperor God. Instead, he looked at Lu Ming with a grave expression. It was completely beyond his expectations that Shirdu did not manage to take down Lu Ming and was instead defeated by him. At this moment, the situation was in a stalemate again. Goddess Tan Xiang and Jing Kongling stood on the side of the platform together. Long Chun had not moved since the battle began. Kong Lin could not catch up with the Emperor God, and he was afraid of Lu Ming. He was also a suitor of the Sandalwood Fairy. Naturally, he would not attack the Sandalwood Fairy and the Jingkongling. As for the Emperor God, it was obvious that he intended to use the advantage of the space will to delay as much as possible and enter the top 10 when the others were defeated. Therefore, he would not launch an attack first. Yang Patian and Tuoba Shur were still engaged in an intense battle. The battle between the Western Desert and the Southern Nether was even more intense. At this point in the battle, the difference in strength had already been revealed. The unscrupulous monk was fighting the young man covered in black flames. At this time, the young man in black flames had transformed into his true form. He was also a demonic beast. He looked almost the same as the legendary three-headed hellhound. The youth in black flames had 90% of the three-headed hellhound's bloodline and was extremely powerful. Each of the three heads could launch a different attack. Black flames filled the air, but they were not hot at all. Instead, they gave off an extremely cold feeling. It was as if this flame could freeze the soul. This was the infernal flames. The three-headed hellhound was strong, but the unscrupulous monk was even stronger. The monk was solemn, and his body was covered in golden light. A golden Buddha floated above his head, and the Buddha's light suppressed the three-headed hellhound. The three-headed hellhound was completely suppressed by the golden Buddha's light. Phenomena appeared all around it, and it was in an extremely sorry state. On the other side, the battle between Darkchild and the female Bodhisattva was also extremely intense. However, the Darkchild was indeed very powerful. He was the strongest in the Southern Underworld's generation, even stronger than the Cerberus. His dark chi soared to the sky and suppressed the female Bodhisattva. However, the Buddhist martial techniques were extremely profound and could attack and defend. The female Bodhisattva performed the blood fusion and transformed into a true female Buddha. The Buddha light spread out and formed many Buddha walls. Although she was at a disadvantage, she could still barely resist. They're so powerful. Each of them is above Lion City and is at the third level of the spiritual god realm. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd and could tell their cultivation. Like Yang Patian and Tuoba Shur, the four great prodigies of the Western Desert and the Southern Underworld were all at the third level of the spiritual god realm. Each of their combat strength was above that of Lion City. Stinky Dog lose. The unscrupulous monk became more and more courageous as the battle progressed. His combat strength was unfathomable, and he completely suppressed the three-headed hellhound. The three-headed hellhound tried its best to block while scanning the entire area with its spiritual sense. I can't go on like this. There are still Tulavir people left on the field. If this continues, I'll be defeated by this bald monk and won't even be able to enter the top 10. Those two women are weak. I'll take care of them first. Even if I'm defeated, I can still enter the top 10. The three-headed hellhound's mind raced as it made a decision. Then, he used all his strength to block the monk's attack. His body flashed and he turned into a black light, rushing toward Goddess Tan Xiang and Jing Kongling. It was as fast as lightning and arrived in an instant. Block. Fairy Tan Xiang's reaction was extremely fast. With a light step, dense runes appeared on the ground, forming a few formations. A few shields appeared in front of her. At the same time, the pure space spirit moved as well. A river appeared, and within the river, ancient trees grew. The branches stretched out and blocked the way.
Boom, boom.
With a violent boom, the inferno spread and burned the shield and the ancient trees. However, after this block, the follow-up moves of Goddess Tan Xiang and the pure spatial spirit also exploded out. Fairy Tan Xiang's body glowed as she activated the killing formation she had carved. At the same time, she waved her hand and 36 pills flew out, turning into 36 divine weapons. Together with the pure spatial spirit's attack, they attacked the three-headed hellhound. Chapter 1126. 1126. He is Lu Shaoqing. The two peerless beauties had a tacit understanding and made people's eyes light up. There was no doubt that even among the second-grade heavens favorites, Goddess Tan Xiang and Jing Kongling were considered top-notch. However, their opponents were powerful beings. With a loud explosion, Their attacks were scattered by the three-headed hellhound's attacks. Get down.
Die.
The Cerberus shouted coldly as it swiped down with its claws, causing the faces of both Goddess Tan Xiang and Jing Conling to change. Could it be that we're going to fail? The two of them had the same thought, and they felt a little unwilling. There were still Tulivir people left. They just needed to hold on a little longer, and they might be able to enter the top 10. Unfortunately, he could only reach this far. The two of them sighed and decided to leave the platform and admit defeat. At this moment, a burly figure suddenly appeared in front of them. He threw out a punch and collided with a three-headed hellhound's claw, blocking it. It's him. The eyes of the two girls lit up. The person who blocked their way was Lu Ming. Back in the ancient herb garden, Goddess Tan Xiang and Jing Conling had helped him once to prevent him from falling into Cold Bloodhall's trap. Now that he saw the two women in danger, he naturally would not sit by and do nothing.
It's you.
If you want to be the hero and save the beauty, then I'll send you down. The three-headed hellhound roared loudly, and the terrifying hellfire burst forth, causing Lu Ming's spiritual god to tremble slightly as if his soul was about to be frozen. What a powerful hell flame! Lu Ming was shocked, but he laughed out loud. Haha, you're even more powerful than that lion. I originally wanted to take that lion as my mount, but he wouldn't agree to it no matter what. Although you're a little ugly, you're barely qualified to be my mount. As he laughed, his true yuan exploded, and he threw a few punches forward, exchanging a few blows with the Cerberus. Big Beard, why did you snatch my prey? The heartless monk appeared not far away and said with a smile. Monk, I'll finish off your prey for you. Lu Ming said. Ha, that's good. I don't have to do it. The monk chuckled and turned his eyes to Darkchild. Sister Moonless, how about I help you? The unscrupulous monk's large sleeves fluttered as he arrived at the place where the Darkchild and the female Bodhisattva were fighting. The name of the female Bodhisattva was Moonless. Darkchild looked at the unscrupulous monk with some fear. Heartless, go do what you need to do. I don't need your help. Moonless' face was a bit cold, and it seemed that her relationship with the unscrupulous monk was very bad. Not far away, Lu Ming almost fell down. This unscrupulous monk's name was actually Unscrupulous. It was too appropriate. I have rice hair. The falling flowers are interested, but the flowing water is heartless. Sister Moonless doesn't need my help. Then forget it. The unscrupulous monk muttered. Then his eyes started to look around again. The onlookers were all speechless. Was this really a holy monk from the Western Desert? Why are you so unreliable? Even some of the sovereigns in the stands had strange expressions. The Buddha of Western Desert had a solemn expression and a smile on his face. His eyes were closed, as if he had not seen anything.
Boom.
At that moment, Lu Ming and the three-headed hellhound were already engaged in an intense battle. The three-headed hellhound was very strong. It had already reached the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm, and its combat strength was stronger than even Sherdu's. At this moment, the three-headed hellhound had unleashed its full power, causing its divine beast bloodline to boil. Lu Ming did not unleash his bloodline and was at a slight disadvantage for the time being. It seems like it's impossible to obtain 3rd place without using my bloodline today. At this thought, a drop of blood appeared on top of Lu Ming's head. Borrowing power. Who? A wisp of energy from the 3rd blood meridian gushed into Lu Ming's body. His aura rose sharply, his hair turned blood red in an instant, and his body emitted a blood-red light. Kill. Lu Ming's 3rd blood meridian power surged in, and a terrifying killing intent erupted from his body. He struck out with his palm, aiming for one of the three-headed hellhound's heads. The Cerberus's head spewed out terrifying attacks, but they were dispersed by Lu Ming's palm. His palm landed heavily on one of the Cerberus heads. With a loud bang, the Cerberus cried out in pain and retreated rapidly. Its head was almost shattered by Lu Ming's chop. A part of its forehead had caved in, and blood was flowing out. Lu Shaoqing. He's Lu Shaoqing. At this time, a few extremely shocked cries sounded out from the crowd. Shui Luo Zi, Wu Chengkong, and a few others who had seen Lu Ming in the secret realm of the Saint Mansion all exclaimed in disbelief.
What?
He's Lu Shaoqing? Ming Lu is Lu Shaoqing? This awesome commander is Lu Shaoqing? Cries of alarm rang out. Now, Lu Shaoqing's name had already shaken the world. News of Lu Shaoqing killing the top talents of the last generation in the secret realm of the Saint Mansion of the Tianxia Academy, killing the top talents of the Cold Blood Hall and the Tianwu Sword Sect, and fighting with Yang Patian and the others had long spread throughout the central continent. Everyone had long regarded Lu Shaoqing as a big shot. They had thought that since Lu Shaoqing had not come to the Holy City, could this overpowered commander with a full beard be Lu Shaoqing? He's Lu Shaoqing. I can't be wrong about this cultivation technique. Wu Chengkong and Shui Luo Zi spoke with great certainty. He is indeed Lu Shaoqing. Fairy Tan Xiang and Jing Kongling's eyes flickered as they muttered to themselves. Haha, it's really uncomfortable to have this broken beard stuck on my face. At this moment, Lu Ming laughed out loud. He grabbed the fake beard on his face and threw it away. By doing so, he would be acknowledging his identity as Lu Shaoqing. The crowd was shocked. Minglu was indeed Lu Shaoqing, but how did he get into the law enforcement army? What a brilliant aura-changing technique. Even we were fooled. An emperor said. None of the emperors present had noticed this earlier. Roar, roar, roar. The three-headed hellhound roared loudly. All three heads opened their mouths and launched a terrifying attack. One head spewed out black liquid, one head spewed out black flames, and the last head spewed out black lightning. Each of these attacks was extremely terrifying and could kill a second-grade heaven's favorite. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air. His third blood meridian squirmed and transformed into a blood-red spear that Lu Ming held. Lu Ming cast the 5 killing moves and swung his spear 3 times in a row.
Boom, boom,
boom. 3 blood-red spear shadows shattered the void and dispersed the 3-headed hellhound's attack. Then, the long spear turned into a blood-red lightning, piercing through the layers of space, and stabbed towards one of the heads. That head was the one that was injured by Lu Ming earlier. The spear directly pierced through the hole in the ground, penetrating the Cerberus's head. Roar, roar. The other 2 heads of the 3-headed hellhound let out a frenzied roar and launched a terrifying attack at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's left palm struck out continuously, activating the prison-suppressing heavenly art to counter the Cerberus attacks. Seizing the opportunity, the 3-headed hellhound retreated rapidly. The head that Lu Ming had pierced through was shrouded in black mist. Chapter 1127. 1127 Chapter 1127 Dragon Star's Power. The 3-headed hellhound's life force was extremely tenacious. It had 3 heads. Unless all 3 heads were chopped off or one head was pierced, it would only be heavily injured but not dead. In the future, it would grow 3 more heads. At this moment, the 3-headed hellhound looked at Lu Ming in shock. Kill. Lu Ming bellowed, his killing intent surging like a tide. His blood-red hair fluttered in the wind, and even his eyes were bloodshot. He strode towards the 3-headed hellhound. Although the slaughter intent in the 3rd bloodline was only borrowed and couldn't be combined with his own 5 intents, it could still work together to make it stronger. The blood-red spear danced, forming a blood-red storm of slaughter. The 3-headed hellhound did its best to fight Lu Ming. However, after a few moves, its second head was pierced by Lu Ming's spear and it was injured even more severely. In the end, the Cerberus had no choice but to leave the platform and admit defeat. The 3-headed hellhound had lost. This commander, Lu Shaoqing, had defeated the Lion Capital and the Cerberus, 2 powerful heaven's favorites. This had shocked everyone. At this time, the battle between Darkchild and Moonless had also entered the final stage. Although Moonless was strong compared to Darkchild, she was still one step behind. From the beginning, she was at a slight disadvantage. To the end, she was completely suppressed. After Lu Ming defeated the Cerberus, she had no choice but to admit defeat and leave the platform. With the withdrawal of Moonless, the top 10 was born. They were Long Chen, Yang Patian, Tuo Bashir, the Heartless Monk, Mingzi Konglin, the Divine Emperor, the Sandalwood Fairy, Jing Kongling, and Lu Ming. Entering the top 10 meant that one could enter the ancient Sage Emperor's palace and study the insights of the past Sage Emperors, laying down a foundation for one's journey to the Emperor's realm. At this moment, apart from Yang Patian and Tuo Bashir, the others didn't make a move and just watched each other. Brother Lu, thank you for your help. Fairy Tan Xiang and Jing Kongling bowed to Lu Ming. The two fairies are too polite. Lu Ming grinned and said forthrightly, Brother Lu, it's all up to you now. Sister Kongling and I are already very lucky to be able to enter the top 10. Goddess Tan Xiang said in a sweet voice. Then, she and Jing Kongling floated back and left the platform. The two of them admitted defeat just like that. No one was surprised. It was all within their expectations. It was already extremely lucky for Goddess Tan Xiang and Jing Kongling to be able to enter the top 10. With their true strength, it would be very difficult for them to enter the top 10. It was already enough for him to enter the top 10 and enter the ancient hall. Retreating now was the wisest choice. Only 8 people remained on the platform.
Boom.
With a violent boom, Yang Patian and Tuo Bashir exchanged a blow and both retreated. They stood in 2 different directions and did not continue fighting. The two of them had already exchanged hundreds of moves, and there was still no clear winner. Yang Patian, I heard that you're ranked 3rd among the top 5 young warriors of the Central Continent. Xian Yinjuan is ranked 2nd, and Long Chen is ranked 1st. Are they really stronger than you? Said Tuo Bashir, his voice booming like a bell. Why don't you try it? Yang Patian said. Haha, you don't have to provoke me. But I really want to try. Tuo Bashir laughed before turning to look at Long Chen. Everyone was shocked. Was Tuo Bashir going to make a move on Long Chen? Everyone's heart was filled with anticipation. Long Chen had not made a move just now. In fact, Long Chen had not made a move since the Battle of Providence. Everyone was curious about how far Long Chen had progressed and how strong he was. Would they be surpassed by the other Heaven's favorites? A look of anticipation flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Long Chen gave him a strong sense of pressure. He also wanted to know how strong Long Chen was. Bang! Tuo Bashir's steps caused the platform to buzz as he walked toward Long Chen. His aura was extremely powerful, and the mace in his hand buzzed along with Tuo Bashir's emotions. His muscles slowly bulged, as if they were filled with infinite strength. In comparison, Long Chen was very ordinary. His temperament and appearance were ordinary, just like an ordinary youth in the crowd. On the platform, everyone backed away and looked at Long Chen and Tuo Bashir. Long Chen, everyone says that you are the number 1 in the Central Continent, or even the Divine Wilderness Continent. I would like to give it a try. Tuo Bashir stood in front of Long Chen and said in a low voice. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Northern Plains was a warlike place, and Tuo Bashir was even more so. Otherwise, he wouldn't have found Yang Patian and fought him as soon as he arrived in the Central Continent. Moreover, because he had not defeated Yang Patian, he had repeatedly fought with Yang Patian. From this, it could be seen how warlike he was. To him, there was no one who could match him in Northern Plains. He had never lost in the younger generation. He needed stronger experts to give him pressure. Thus, he went to find Long Chen. You can make your move. Long Chen spoke for the first time. His tone was calm, without any arrogance or arrogance. However, Lu Ming could hear a kind of cheat from it. It was an invincible and undefeatable qi. This was the kind of qi that could only be obtained when one was extremely confident in themselves. Receive my attack. Tuo Bashir let out a long roar, and his already burly body became even more burly. A terrifying beast's roar came out of his body as the mace in his hand shone with a brilliant light. Bang!
Die.
Tuobashir took a step forward and charged at Long Chen, smashing his mace down with the force of 10,000 caddies. Facing Long Chen, Tuobashir did not dare to be careless. He used all his strength. Everyone's expression turned grave. Tuobashir's move was too terrifying, and no one could ignore it. However, Long Chen's expression was still calm. When Tuobashir's mace was about to hit him, a terrifying aura spread out from his body. His arms swelled rapidly, and his muscles bulged. It was twice as thick as usual. Boom! Long Chen threw out a punch. The punch pierced through the space, creating a long dark tunnel. The entire area shook. On the platform, Lu Ming and the others could feel a powerful force spreading toward them. They had to channel their cultivation to resist it. Thump! Long Chen's fist collided heavily with Tuobashir's mace, creating a terrifying boom. It was like a thunderclap in the sky. This was a collision of power. Then, everyone saw a figure retreating rapidly and continuously like a huge cannonball until he was out of the platform. It was Tuobashir. He was sent flying out of the platform by Long Chen's punch. His face was pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. CSI. Gasps of shock could be heard. Tuobashir had been defeated by Long Chen with a single punch. Tuobashir's strength could be seen from his battle with Yang Patian just now. His strength was absolutely terrifying, and his strength was shocking. He suppressed the world, and his combat strength was no weaker than Yang Potion's. But now, he was sent flying by Long Chen's punch and spat out a mouthful of blood. This kind of scene was seriously too shocking. Central Continent's people were still fine, but Northern Plains, Southern Nether, Western Desert, and Eastern Barrens people were even more shocked when they saw this. He was too strong. Chapter 1128. 1128, The Last Five. On the platform, Yang Patian and Kong Lin's eyes were extremely solemn. The eyes of Dark Child, the unscrupulous monk, and the Divine Emperor were filled with shock. My hair is as white as rice, my Buddha. Motherfucking mercy. What a pervert. The unscrupulous monk chanted a nondescript Buddhist name. What a terrifying power. Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. Lu Ming had a vague feeling that Long Chen's bloodline was not to be underestimated. It was definitely an extremely terrifying bloodline. After defeating Tuobashir, Long Chen's arm returned to its original state, and he stood there calmly. He was very ordinary, but no one dared to look down on him. Not even emperors. As long as such a genius did not die, he would definitely become an emperor in the future. He might even rise to a higher level and dominate the divine wilderness. Such a genius was rare, even in ancient times. Now, there were only 7 people left on the platform. The 7 of them looked at each other. Yang Patian, let's fight. A 5-colored light flashed, and Kong Lin appeared in front of Yang Patian. Of the 5 giants of the Central Continent, Yang Patian was ranked 3rd, and Kong Lin was ranked 4th. In the Battle of Providence, Kong Lin lost to Yang Patian by a slight disadvantage. Today, he was going to win it back and wash away the shame. Then I'll defeat you again. Yang Patian was very confident. He pointed his halberd at Kong Lin, and the void trembled. While Kong Lin's body bloomed with 5-colored light. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth 5 elements. The 5 elements peacock was born with the ability to control the 5 elements and was extremely powerful. Of course, this kind of control was different from a warrior who had comprehended 5 different concepts at the same time. This was because the 5 elements of the 5 elements peacock were separated, unlike Lu Ming who had already fused all 5. The 5 elements peacock was only blessed by the heavens in terms of controlling the 5 elements, while Kong Lin had 90% of the 5 elements peacock's bloodline, so he naturally also inherited the talent to control the 5 elements. Buzz. Buzz. The two of them moved at the same time, charging at each other and engaging in a great battle.
Bang! Bang!
At this moment, Lu Ming stepped forward and walked towards one of them. Emperor God. Lu Ming walked toward the Emperor God. The Emperor God stared at Lu Ming with a solemn look. You should go down, Lu Ming said indifferently. Have I met you before? The Emperor God said as he stared at Lu Ming. He felt that his temperament was very similar to Lu Ming's. Oh, really? Is there anyone in this world who is as invincible as me? Lu Ming grinned. His blood-red hair flew in the air as his endless killing intent swept toward the Emperor God. Although your combat strength is strong, you can't do anything to me as I'm focused on dodging, the Emperor God said. He was confident in his space will. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered. The blood-red long spear was thrust out like a blood-red lightning. The space around the Emperor God's body rippled like water. He moved and disappeared from his original spot, reappearing in another place 100 meters away. The space mentality is indeed amazing, but in my eyes, it's nothing. Lu Ming took a step forward and formed a seal with his hands. A door of light appeared, emitting a blinding light that pressed down on the Emperor God. The Emperor God's expression changed drastically because he suddenly felt like he had fallen into a quagmire and couldn't move. Not only him, even the space was sealed. This is the 9 seals of the Gate of God. An emperor suddenly stood up and exclaimed in shock. It's the 9 seals of the Gate of God, the ultimate martial art of the sky-sealing divine warrior. I didn't expect Liu Shaoqing to be in control of it. Another old emperor said. This ultimate technique was once famous in the world more than 100,000 years ago. It was the ultimate technique of an emperor. However, with the passing of that emperor, this ultimate technique also disappeared in the world. No one expected it to appear again today. The other onlookers were shocked. So this was an emperor technique. Spatial travel. The Emperor God roared and exerted all his strength. The space around him trembled rapidly as he tried to break free from Lu Ming's seal. Then one more fan. Lu Ming moved his hand, and another Gate of God appeared. It pressed down. This time, the Emperor God's body could not move at all. During this period of time, Lu Ming did not stop cultivating the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. After several months of hard work, Lu Ming could already form 2 of the 9 seals of the Divine Gate, and the sealing power had increased greatly. Whoosh! The blood-red spear turned into a ray of light and pierced through the void, coming out of the Emperor God's chest.
Bang!
With a shake of the spear, the Emperor God's body was sent flying far away. He flew out of the platform and spat out a mouthful of blood. You can't even withstand a single blow. I won't kill you today for the sake of the Sage Emperor, but I'll definitely kill you when I meet you in the future, Lu Ming said coldly. If it were not for the rule that no one was allowed to kill their opponent, he would have killed the Emperor God just now instead of just injuring him. However, Lu Ming did not care about the Emperor God anymore. He would have plenty of chances to kill him in the future. The Emperor God kept vomiting blood, and his face was pale. He barely managed to float in the air, staring at Lu Ming and roaring. We must have met before.
Who are you?
Lu Ming did not spare him another glance. He turned around and looked at the battle between Yang Patian and Kong Lin. Yang Potion's space intent was much stronger than an Emperor God's, and he had also mastered other intents. In the end, a purple-gold halberd floated above his head. The 9 golden chakras were extremely bright. Divine level 9th rank bloodline. The geniuses of the big shots had all awakened divine level rank 9 bloodlines. Is this the legendary halberd of the void? Someone exclaimed. Yang Potion's bloodline was the legendary supreme divine weapon, the halberd of the void. It was a halberd that could shatter the void and cut through space. Yang Patian performed the bloodline fusion and transformed into the halberd of the void, which made his combat strength even more terrifying. Kong Lin also turned into a 5-colored peacock, but unfortunately, he was still no match for Yang Patian. After fighting for dozens of moves, Kong Lin was no match for Yang Patian and kept retreating, completely suppressed. In the end, Kong Lin gave a long hiss and withdrew from the platform. Kong Lin was defeated. Now, on the platform, there were only 5 people left. Long Chun Mingzi, the Heartless Monk, Yang Patian, and Lu Ming. Each one of them was extremely powerful, with unparalleled combat strength. The battle had also reached its most critical moment. As long as 2 more people were defeated, the top 3 would be decided. Among these 5, who do you think is stronger and who is weaker? The crowd began to discuss. Long Chun is, without a doubt, the strongest. He defeated Tuo Bashir, who wasn't any weaker than Yang Patian, with a single punch. His combat strength is unfathomable. As for the other 4, it's hard to say. I think that the unscrupulous monk, Dark Child, and Lu Shaoqing are about the same. As for Yang Patian, he's slightly weaker. Not necessarily. Yang Patian is very strong. He might not be weaker than the other 3. I don't think they'll be weak either. The next battle will be the peak battle. Everyone expressed their opinions one by one. I'm not a dog. Almsgiver, how about we exchange a few moves? The unscrupulous monk chanted the name of Buddha, and his white kasaya fluttered as he flew towards Yang Patian, giving off a kind of otherworldly feeling. That's exactly what I want. Monk, you are the one who gave me a fake token in the secret realm of the Saint Mansion. I'll make you pay for this. Yang Patian coldly stared at the unscrupulous monk. Chapter 1129. 1129 Chapter 1129 Great Battle Against Dark Child. I have no hair. You have misunderstood me. You have misunderstood me too. Someone must have framed me. I am a monk. I am merciful and will save all living beings. Who is the one who slandered this little monk? Tell me, I'm going to kill him with one palm. The unscrupulous monk put his palms together and looked solemn. The first part of his sentence was quite normal, but the last part made people look at each other in dismay. Outside the platform, the moonless female bodhisattva put her hands together, the veins on her face twitching. Yang Potion's lips also trembled as he said, "No need to say anything more. Let me try Master's means." Yang Patian transformed into the halberd of the void and started fighting the monk without any hesitation. Without a doubt, the unscrupulous monk's bloodline was also at the 9th level of the divine level. He was a golden Buddha with a solemn expression and a benevolent face. He was able to deliver all living beings from suffering and was emitting a boundless Buddhist light. The crowd was speechless. How could such a weirdo like this monk awaken such a supreme Buddhist bloodline? The 2 of them fought and occupied half of the platform. Lu Shaoqing, let's fight. A black light flashed and Dark Child appeared in front of Lu Ming. Fight. There was no need to say more. Lu Ming spat out a single word, his fighting spirit soaring. As long as he defeated Dark Child, the unscrupulous monk and Yang Patian would determine the winner, and Lu Ming would be able to enter the top 3. His goal was to enter the top 3, and he had to enter the top 3. Endless black nether energy burst out from Dark Child's body. Ghostly wails came out from within, which was extremely horrifying. A blade appeared in his hand. It was a black scimitar with evil ghosts emerging on it, as if they were about to crawl out. Buzz. Dark Child rushed toward Lu Ming, his scimitar slashing down. Ghostly wails and wolf howls filled the air with a sinister aura.
Kill. Die.
Lu Ming shouted. His killing intent surged like a tide. The blood-red spear turned back into a drop of blood and floated above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming used the prison-suppressing heaven technique and struck out with his palm, clashing with Dark Child's saber light.
Bang. Bang. Bang.
The sounds of concentrated collisions rang out, and the 2 exchanged more than a dozen moves in an instant. So cold. What a strange attack. Lu Ming felt a chill all over his body. Not only that, but even the spiritual god felt a chill. Dark Child's attack could not only damage the physical body, but also affect the spiritual god. The five-colored, intent realm curled around him, forming a battlesuit that covered his entire body. His true essence flowed continuously, blocking Dark Child's strange attack. At the same time, he struck out with his palms. Each palm strike had a terrifying power. With the power of 7 dragons and the power of the third bloodline, he was extremely powerful. However, Dark Child was indeed terrifying. Even among the young tyrants, he was a top existence. He had awakened a 9th-level divine bloodline, and the power enhanced by the bloodline itself was also very terrifying. The bloodline secret skills and bloodline martial techniques that were comprehended from the bloodline were extremely powerful. The power of a divine-level rank 9 bloodline far exceeded the power of 7 dragon powers. Moreover, Dark Child's intent realm was very terrifying. There were several types. Although there were not as many types as Lu Ming's, its level was higher and its power was not much weaker than Lu Ming's. It could be said that Heaven's favorites who had reached the level of the top young warriors were very strong in all aspects. The highest level of Lu Ming's blood meridian was only at divine level 7. The third bloodline, on the other hand, had endless power, but Lu Ming did not dare to borrow too much. The more he borrowed, the stronger the killing intent would be. Lu Ming would then be controlled by the endless killing intent. Once he lost control of himself, he would be dominated by the killing and become a walking corpse, a puppet that only knew how to kill. Of course, with the improvement of Lu Ming's cultivation, he had better control over himself and the power he could borrow was also stronger. Now, the power he could borrow had increased a lot compared to when he was at the first level of the spiritual god realm. In the blink of an eye, the two of them exchanged dozens of moves. The 9 seals of the Gate of God. Lu Ming formed a seal and 2 gates of God appeared, suppressing Dark Child. Nether Prison's Gate. A black door appeared in front of Dark Child. The door glowed and expanded rapidly, blocking the sealing door. Death God appear. Then, a black figure appeared above Dark Child's head. The figure was covered in a black cloak and his appearance couldn't be seen clearly. Only 2 red flames were dancing and burning in his eyes. The figure held a black sickle in his hand, with black fire dancing around it. The God of Death, the legendary God of Death. This was the Dark Child's bloodline. Without a doubt, it was also a level 9 divine level. Tillavir Capital Heaven Battle Formation. Dark Child transformed into the Grim Reaper and spoke in a cold and unpleasant voice. The Grim Reaper moved and turned into 12 figures, charging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming cast the Gate of Sealing again, but he could only seal 2. The other masters continued to attack Lu Ming.
Boom, boom,
boom. Lu Ming continued to punch and activate the prison-suppressing heavenly art to strengthen its power as he fought the 10 death gods. 10 consecutive punches landed on the 10 Grim Reaper sickles, forcing the 10 Grim Reapers to retreat. However, Lu Ming's face was pale. What a strange attack! What a terrifying power! Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. The death god's physical attack was not very strong, but it had a strange power that could penetrate the body and attack the spiritual god. In other words, it was attacking the soul of the spiritual god. Dark Child's attack could penetrate directly into the soul, obliterating the soul of others, killing people invisibly. If not for the fact that Lu Ming had consumed the soul-refining fruit and a large number of soul-refining pills, which made his spiritual god extremely condensed and stronger than others, he might not have been able to withstand the attack. Even so, Lu Ming's spiritual god was still trembling, and his soul was in excruciating pain. Kill. The Dark Child attacked again. At that moment, the sealing door lost its effect. A total of 12 dark gods charged at Lu Ming. Every one of them seemed real. Lu Ming controlled 5 types of concepts and formed a 5-colored battle suit on the spiritual god. Then he fought the death god. It was slightly better with a 5-colored battle suit protecting the spiritual god, but the spiritual god was still being attacked and was constantly shaking. If this continued, the spiritual god would definitely suffer unimaginable injuries. The spiritual god was the foundation of a martial artist. It was where one's essence, qi, and spirit were. If it was severely injured, it would have a huge impact on one's future cultivation. It seems like Lu Shaoqing is going to lose. He's no match for Dark Child. It's said that Dark Child's bloodline Grim Reaper can directly attack one's soul and kill without a trace. It's strange, powerful, and impossible to defend against. By the way, Lu Shaoqing's bloodline is so special. It doesn't have any chakra. I've noticed that too. It's indeed strange. However, there are all kinds of strange things in the world. Perhaps he has cultivated some secret skill to cover his chakra. The crowd discussed as they looked at the platform. At this moment, the battle between Lu Ming and Dark Child seemed to be a draw. However, those who knew Dark Child knew that in the long run, Lu Ming would definitely be at a disadvantage and would not be able to win. On the other side, the heartless monk had already gained the upper hand in the battle between Yang Patian and the monk. I must win this battle, no matter the price. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. He couldn't lose this battle. He had to use this opportunity to take Xian Yinqing away. He had to win, even if he had to reveal his true identity. Chapter 1130. 1130 Lu Ming. It was Lu Ming. Lu Shaoqing, be defeated. The Reaper's Harvest. A cold and unpleasant voice was heard. The Grim Reaper's scythes in the hands of the Tulivir Grim Reapers drew a mysterious and strange arc, slashing toward Lu Ming. Tulivir Death God's scythes were placed in all directions. Dark Child, you are the one who is defeated today. Lu Ming let out a long howl. Roar. The next moment, a deafening dragon's roar was heard. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head, and a vast dragon's might filled the air. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and entered the 9 dragons. 9 dragons trampling the heavens.
Boom, boom.
The 9 dragons' 9 claws stepped forward 7 times in a row, each step stronger than the last. The vast power directly forced the 12 death gods back. 9 dragons. Lu Ming. It's Lu Ming. He's Lu Ming. At this moment, a few shouts of disbelief were heard. The Emperor God, the masters of the Wang family, and the Jiang family shouted in unison. Their eyes widened in disbelief. They were all too familiar with the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Once the bloodline of the 9 dragons appeared, there was only one person, and that was Lu Ming. How is that possible? How can Lu Ming be here? The patriarch of the Wang clan murmured, still in disbelief. Before we arrived at the central continent, we clearly saw Lu Ming at the Talisman Amulet sect. Could it be that Lu Ming also took the teleportation formation and came to the central continent? But how is that possible? Didn't the Talisman Amulet sect not have any contact with the central continent's overlord forces? The master of the Jiang family also muttered to himself. Even though they did not believe it, the 9 dragon bloodline in front of them told them that the person in front of them was Lu Ming. There was no mistake. Lu Ming, that's him. No wonder I feel that this person's aura is so familiar. It's as if we've met before. The Emperor God growled. His eyes were cold and murderous. He found it hard to accept that this person was Lu Ming. The one who had defeated him so easily was Lu Ming. At first, he was full of confidence. His spatial will had reached level for a long time ago and was becoming more and more terrifying. His cultivation had also broken through to the spiritual god realm. He was completely confident that he could easily defeat Lu Ming when he faced him again and avenge the humiliation he had suffered in the Battle of Providence. However, the reality was cruel. Lu Ming had become more powerful and had far surpassed him. He could defeat him easily. The current Lu Ming was like a huge mountain in front of him. At the scene, there was another person who was equally shocked. That person was Xie Zhen. Lu Ming? Lu Shaoqing is Lu Ming? He roared in disbelief, and a terrifying killing intent burst out from his eyes. As he looked at the bloodline of the 9 dragons in front of him, the scenes of his past in 9 dragons appeared in his mind. What? Lu Ming? What Lu Ming? I heard that the #1 genius of the Eastern Barren Territory is called Lu Ming. Could it be him? No way. Is he a heaven's favorite from the East Barren? The surrounding people were in an uproar. They discussed animatedly and found it unbelievable. Just how many identities did he have? In the beginning, he was the commander of the ancient Saint Dynasty's Royal Law Enforcement Army. Then, people recognized him as the famous Lu Shaoqing. Now, he was Lu Ming. Many people were confused. I don't care who you are.
Kill.
The Tulivir death gods roared and charged at Lu Ming again. Roar. The 9 dragons roared, and a terrifying devouring power burst out of their mouths, enveloping the Tulivir death gods. Borrowing power. With a thought, a trace of blood-red power from the 3rd bloodline flowed into the 9 dragons' bodies, causing a layer of blood-red fluorescence to appear on the bodies of the 9 dragons.
Boom.
Boom. The 9 dragon steps were aimed at one of the Grim Reapers. With 7 steps, the Grim Reapers exploded. The divine dragon wagged its tail and unleashed the might of the prison-suppressing heavenly art. The other death god was also crushed. The 9 dragons slithered up and pounced toward the other 2 Grim Reapers. Enveloped by the devouring power of the 9 dragons, Dark Child felt his blood essence, vital essence, and bloodline power all become unstable. His strength was greatly affected. On the other hand, Lu Ming had used all his strength and performed the blood meridian fusion. He was stronger than before. The situation was reversed, and Lu Ming had the upper hand. However, Dark Child was not willing to lose just like that. He did his best to fight Lu Ming. However, after a few moves, another death god was defeated, and as time passed, more and more death gods were defeated. After dozens of moves, only the Grim Reaper was left on the platform. Bang! After being struck by the 9 dragons' claw, the death god's body retreated frantically. So strong. Everyone was shocked. After Lu Ming's blood meridian erupted, his combat strength had increased by a notch, and he had completely surpassed Dark Child. Bloodline of the 9 dragons, one of the top 10 battle beasts. Interesting. On the side of the platform, Long Chun, who had been unmoved all this time, suddenly had a shocking light in his eyes. He muttered something to himself, but no one heard him. Thump. Boom. The 9 dragons stepped on the air and pounced toward the last death god. Bang. Although the death god tried its best to resist, it was already an arrow at the end of its flight. How could it stop Lu Ming? His body exploded, revealing Dark Child's true body. His face was pale as his figure flashed backward rapidly. The 9 dragons pursued. Dark Child's expression changed. Finally, he sighed and retreated from the platform. Leaving the platform could be considered as admitting defeat. He knew that there was no need to continue fighting. He could only admit defeat. Seeing that Dark Child had admitted defeat, the 9 dragons' body shrank rapidly. The next moment, a handsome young man appeared on the platform. This was Lu Ming's original appearance. It was also the appearance he had used when he was using the name Lu Shaoqing. At this moment, almost everyone's eyes were on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's you. The patriarch of the Wang family roared in anger. His killing intent was extremely strong, and his body emitted a powerful aura. What are you doing? Shut up. A cold shout rang in the ears of the master of the Wang family, causing him to tremble and his aura to weaken rapidly. This was the voice of an emperor. All the emperors had gathered here, and the emperor had yet to speak. Was it his turn to unleash his killing intent? Lu Ming. The emperor god clenched his fists so tightly that his veins were bulging. The people of the Empyrean Divine Palace were truly shocked and surprised. They did not understand why Lu Ming would appear here. Lu Ming, it's really him. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Shui Jianyi, Shizhan, Ao2, and Feng Xian of the Heavenly Corpse sect all sighed in disbelief. Their gazes were complicated. It had been almost 2 years since the Battle of Providence. In the past 2 years, they had been improving, but Lu Ming's improvement was even more shocking. He had already left them far behind. Even the top paragons of the Divine Wilderness continent had been defeated by Lu Ming. He was already standing at the peak of the Divine Wilderness continent's younger generation. As for them, they were still far from it. Is he really Lu Ming? I can't believe there's such a terrifying heaven's favorite in the East continent. Someone in the crowd said with a complicated voice. The Eastern Barren territory had always been the weakest. Previously, everyone had said that only the Emperor God was decent and that the other geniuses of the Eastern Barren territory were not worth mentioning. However, Lu Ming had emerged and suppressed everyone. He was destined to enter the top 3. So, he is Lu Ming. At this moment, those who had been defeated by Lu Ming previously, such as Lu Yusin, Shi Du, and the three-headed hellhound, were mumbling in low voices. No one knew what thoughts flashed in their minds. Chapter 1131. 1131 Lu Ming's request. All eyes were on Lu Ming. All kinds of thoughts flashed through their minds, but most of them were exclaiming in admiration at Lu Ming's ability. Brother Lu, you've kept us in the dark for so long. Outside the platform, Goddess Tan Xiang spoke in a strange tone. I'm sorry, Fairy. Lu Ming has no other choice. Lu Ming cupped his fists, and his voice spread throughout the entire area. Since he had been exposed, he should admit it. It seems that it's a great era now. Even the East Baron has someone like Lu Ming. That's right. It's a golden age. No territory can be underestimated. It's possible for extraordinary geniuses to appear. Someone sighed. Lu Ming's battle results were too dazzling. Previously, Lu Shaoqing's name had already shaken the entire central continent. Recently, he had even transformed into the commander of the law enforcement army and defeated Lu Yusin, the Divine Emperor, Lion City, the three-headed hellhound, and Dark Child in succession. 3 of them were heaven's favorites of the big shots. This battle record was too brilliant. Lu Ming, Lu Ming, Lu Ming from the East Baron. His powerful devouring power should be the talent of the 9 dragons. Blood Luo Zi stared at Lu Ming, his eyes flickering. No one knew what he was thinking. At the same time, many experts of the heavenly martial sword faction had killing intent flashing in their eyes. However, in such a situation, no one dared to show it.
Boom.
Boom. At this moment, a violent roar from the platform finally pulled everyone back from their thoughts. They shifted their gaze away from Lu Ming. The battle between the unscrupulous monk and Yang Patian had also reached its final stage. In the end, Yang Patian was no match for the monk. After exchanging 100 moves, he was still defeated by the monk and thrown off the platform. At this point, the top 3 were born. They were Long Chen, Lu Ming, and the Heartless Monk. Many people were looking forward to it. Right now, each of the 3 of them was terrifyingly strong and unfathomable. Long Chen had always been the strongest heaven's favorite. He was the first to become a spirit god and was unrivaled among his peers. Just now, he had defeated Tuoba Shur with a single punch, shocking everyone. The unscrupulous monk, the strange holy monk of the Western Desert, had defeated Yang Patian. He was always smiling and had a harmless look on his face, making people feel that he was unfathomable. Lu Ming could be considered the strongest dark horse this time. He had first transformed into Lu Shaoqing and the commander of the law enforcement army. Along the way, he had defeated many experts and even a prodigy like Dark Child. His strength was unfathomable. Everyone was looking forward to the clash between the 3. What everyone was looking forward to was whether Lu Ming or the unscrupulous monk could force Long Chen to reveal his true strength. This was because no one knew how strong Long Chen was. My hair. The heartless monk chanted the name of Buddha and looked at Lu Ming. Haha. Benefactor, so your name is Lu Ming. It's a pleasure to meet you. Monk, we've met several times. Lu Ming smiled. Ha, that's right, that's right. Almsgiver Lu's combat strength is so profound that it's really admirable. I didn't expect you to defeat Darkchild. I've had many battles with Darkchild in the past, but I couldn't defeat him. Since you can defeat him, I'm no match for you. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. The monk chuckled and turned around. He left the platform in a carefree manner. The unscrupulous monk had admitted defeat. In this case, only Lu Ming and Long Chen were left. The bloodline of the 9 dragons? Interesting. I'd like to see the power of the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Long Chen, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. He looked at Lu Ming with a hint of anticipation in his eyes. This kind of anticipation was like the anticipation of someone who had been invincible for too long and had no opponents. That's right, Long Chen had been invincible for far too long. He was unrivaled among the younger generation. He needed an opponent, and he desired one. Without a doubt, in his heart, Lu Ming could possibly be his opponent. This wasn't arrogance, but his true thoughts. I want to fight with you. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in the first place. After saying that, Lu Ming moved and floated off the platform. Lu Ming's goal was to come in second or third. He did not want to come in first at all. The winner would have to marry Xia Nianlin. Lu Ming only wanted the second or third place, and the Sacred Emperor to agree to one condition. Lu Ming actually admitted defeat. What a pity! What a pity! Many people sighed. They had thought that they would be able to see a peak battle, but the result was unexpected. First, the unscrupulous monk admitted defeat. Then, Lu Ming also admitted defeat. Thus, the competition was over. Alright, the competition ends here. Long Chen has won first place. He will be engaged to my daughter, Xia Nianlin, soon. Xia Qitian stood up and announced. Besides Xia Qitian, Xia Nianlin was smiling happily. On the platform, Long Chen turned to look at Xia Nianlin with a smile on his face. Not many people knew that Long Chen and Xia Nianlin had long since developed feelings for each other and were secretly dating. The competition this time was just a formality. Xia Nianlin, Xia Qitian, and the others all knew that Long Chen would take first place without a doubt. No one could defeat him. Xia Qitian could also take this opportunity to establish a good relationship with the various overlord forces, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. From now on, the Heavenly Sun Palace and the royal Xia family will be married. The royal family will become even more powerful. Someone sighed in the dark. Long Chen was from the Heavenly Sun Palace, an extremely powerful overlord force. With Long Chen and Xia Nianlin's union, the 2 forces would definitely have to work together in the future. There are many heaven's favorites in the royal family. Xia Nianjuan, Xia Nianlin, Xia Yan, all of them are top heaven's favorites. Is the royal family going to return to glory? The royal family is indeed powerful. In the future, they will have a marriage alliance with the Sun Sky Palace and gather the 2 strongest heaven's favorites. It is indeed possible for them to rise. However, the other forces may not let them rise as they wish. In the dark, some people were whispering to each other. The marriage between the imperial family and the Heavenly Sun Palace had a far-reaching impact. Also, Lu Ming, the heartless holy monk. Xia Qitian's gaze shifted to Lu Ming and the heartless monk. The 2 of them flew up to the platform and saluted Xia Qitian. I'll agree to one condition for the second and third place. What do you want? Lu Ming, you go first. Xia Qitian's gaze shifted to Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. They had finally arrived. He had been waiting for this moment. The masters of the Wang family, the Jiang family, the Divine Emperor, and the others were all on tenterhooks. If Lu Ming suggested that the Sacred Emperor protect him against De, it would be troublesome. He could not do anything against the ancient sacred dynasty. Sage Emperor, Lu Ming has nothing else to ask of you. I only ask that you set Nianqing free. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, What? Xie Qitian frowned. At the scene, the others were also stunned. They had thought that Lu Ming would ask for some peerless cultivation technique, martial arts technique, or treasure from the royal family. They had never expected that Lu Ming would make such a request to the Sage Emperor. Chapter 1132. 1132 Chapter 1132, Berating the Sage Emperor. Everyone did not expect that Lu Ming's request was to set one person free.
Nianqing?
Who was it? Many people were curious. This name is very similar to the two princesses. It's said that there's a little princess in the royal family who is a different bloodline from the royal family. Could it be that Lu Ming is talking about this little princess? Someone guessed. In the end, many people sighed. It was not worth it for Lu Ming to put forward this condition. He had wasted a great opportunity. However, Lu Ming's gaze was firm. In his heart, this was the most important thing. The masters of the Wang and Jiang families, the Divine Emperor, and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that Lu Ming would ask Xie Qitian to protect him. How stupid. The patriarch of the Wang clan laughed in his heart. Lu Ming, don't be delusional. Xie Nianqing is a weirdo. You want to set her free? What a joke. Also, back in the Nine Dragons city of the East Continent, it was you who repeatedly obstructed us and even injured my royal family members. Today, you still dare to say such words. You're really audacious. Xiezhen stood up and looked at Lu Ming coldly as he berated him loudly.
What?
How dare you hurt someone from the royal family? Lu Ming, you first sneaked into the law enforcement army and deliberately destroyed the relationship between the royal family and the other overlord forces. What are your intentions? A middle-aged man stood up and said coldly. Lu Ming recognized him. He was the imperial uncle who had appeared in the Hall of Justice when Lu Ming was confronting the elder of the Heaven Martial Sword faction, Xie Qiu. Because of Lu Ming, their relationship with the Heaven's Martial Sword faction had worsened, forcing Xie Qiu to show up. He was already unhappy with Lu Ming, and now, he naturally came out to berate him. It's indeed the little princess of the imperial family, that mutant. Xiezhen's words made everyone's heart skip a beat. But how did Lu Ming get to know that little princess? It seemed that in the East Wilderness, the imperial family had suffered at the hands of Lu Ming. This Lu Ming was really a monster. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at Xiezhen and Xie Qiu, then ignored them and faced the Sage Emperor. Sage Emperor, you said before that if you could place in the top 3, you would be able to raise a condition. My condition is to set Nianqing free. I don't need anything else, nor do I have to enter the ancient hall. Lu Ming stood straight, neither servile nor overbearing, and his gaze was firm. Xie Qitian's brows furrowed even more, and his face turned cold. Lu Ming, this won't do. You'd better change your condition. His tone was filled with an unquestionable tone. Xie Qitian's meaning was already very clear. That was impossible. However, Lu Ming would not give up just like that. Sage Emperor, why don't you let him go? Is it because Nianqing's bloodline is different from the rest of the imperial family? Could it be that only those with pure bloodlines were members of the Xie family? Wouldn't the Xie family be inclined towards the dark bloodline? Please forgive this junior's foolish opinion, but this way of thinking is too pedantic. Lu Ming's voice spread throughout the entire venue, and everyone quieted down. Almost everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. How bold of Lu Ming to speak to the Sage Emperor in such a manner. Even a fool could tell that Lu Ming was implying that the Sage Emperor was pedantic. Audacious. He was truly audacious. Even the other kings would not dare to speak to Xie Qitian in such a manner. Lu Ming's words were simply too shocking.
How dare you? How dare you?
Lu Ming, you lowly ant. How dare you speak to my father like that? You're courting death. Xiezhen roared. He deserves to die 10,000 times and his entire clan should be exterminated, Xie Qiyu shouted coldly. Although his words were short, his killing intent was soaring. Xie Qitian did not say a word. He was still frowning, and no one knew what he was thinking. Lu Ming continued to ignore Xie Zhen and Xie Qitian. He did not even look at them and continued to face Xie Qitian. Bloodline is just a tool for martial artists. It depends on how you use it. If you use it well, it's good. If you don't use it well, it's not good. The key is still the person who uses it. Lu Ming's voice was loud and clear, neither servile nor overbearing. He had no fear and argued strongly. Ridiculous. That's nonsense. Xian Yanqing is of a foreign bloodline. She's a rebel. If we let her go, she would have turned against us. Xie Zhen continued to berate him. Haha, what a joke. What is a rebellious bloodline? Back then, wasn't the chaotic heavens divine warrior forced out? If the entire imperial family treated him equally, without any humiliation or oppression, why would he have betrayed us? Lu Ming laughed heartily. As soon as he said that, everyone was shocked.
Boom, boom,
boom. In the imperial family, a terrifying aura suddenly burst out. A cold killing intent enveloped Lu Ming. Audacious fanatic, you're courting death. He should be killed. Heinous crimes. One after another, howls sounded out as the powerful existences were enraged. Their terrifying auras filled the sky as if the world was about to be destroyed. Endless pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. There were many supreme beings among them. Boom. Lu Ming used all his strength to resist, but he was still suppressed by the pressure. His body trembled and he retreated rapidly, a mouthful of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. The chaotic heavens divine warrior was a taboo of the royal family. Lu Ming had actually dared to mention it on such an occasion. He had touched the royal family's sore spot. Sage Emperor, there's an ancient saying that a sovereign cannot be ridiculed. Moreover, you are the Sage Emperor. Are you going to go back on your word? Lu Ming shouted. He had already come this far today, and there was no way out. Lu Ming had nothing to fear. He could only move forward bravely. When I said I would agree to one condition, I meant that it was something I could do, said Xie Qitian. What's so difficult about my conditions? Moreover, Nianqing is your daughter, your biological daughter. Did you give birth to her just to lock her up for the rest of her life? Lu Ming shouted. The vital essence in his body circulated crazily, and the five-colored will enveloped his body to resist the pressure that was pressing on him. Impudent. Men, kill this person. Xie Zhen roared. His killing intent was boundless, and his face revealed a ferocious expression. Back in Nine Dragons, he had gone there as the prince of the ancient Saint dynasty. He should have been high and mighty, but Lu Ming had defeated him in front of everyone, embarrassing him. He had always harbored a grudge against Lu Ming. Even after such a long time, he had not forgotten about it. Now that he had such an opportunity, he naturally could not wait to cut Lu Ming into 1,000 pieces. Kill. 2 guards in iron armor shouted. A terrifying aura burst out as they stepped forward to kill Lu Ming. Everyone sighed and thought that Lu Ming was definitely going to die today. It was such a pity to lose such a prodigy. All right, I'm done. At this moment, Xie Qitian spoke indifferently and waved his hand. The 2 guards immediately stopped, and the other members of the imperial family also retracted their auras. Lu Ming felt his body relax, and he heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Ming, I'm an emperor, and I'm a man of my word. However, your condition is an important matter for the royal family, and I can't agree to it so easily. How about this? Nianqing is now in the Abyss Demon territory, fighting for the royal family and killing the Masha clan. If you're willing to enter the Abyss Demon territory and kill the Masha clan, once you've killed enough Masha clan members and accumulated enough achievements for the royal family, I'll let you leave together. Xie Qitian muttered to himself. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Xie Qitian's words meant that he had already given in. Chapter 1133. 1133 Entering the Abyss Demonic Realm. Is the Sage Emperor's words true? Lu Ming stared at Xie Qitian. I'm a man of my word. Anyone who enters the Abyss Demon territory and kills the Masha clan will be rewarded with points. As long as you can get 10,000 points, I promise to let you two leave together and never interfere with Nianqing's affairs again.
Xie Qitian said.
All right, I agree. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming believed that Xie Qitian would not go back on his word in front of so many emperors and people. Lu Ming was clear that it would not be easy to go to the Abyss Demon territory to hunt down the Masha clan. However, there was still hope. Moreover, his identity had been exposed. D.E. would probably find out soon. Entering the Abyss Demon territory, not only could he find Xian Yanqing, but he could also avoid D.E. for the time being. For Lu Ming, it was killing two birds with one stone. At this moment, the eyes of Xie Zhen, Xie Qiyu, and the others flickered. They did not say anything, and it was unknown what they were thinking.
All right, it's settled then.
After the banquet is over, I'll ask someone to take you to the demon realm of Tartarus.
Xie Qitian said.
Immediately after, Xie Qitian asked the unscrupulous monk about his conditions. The unscrupulous monk was very smart. He said that he would not mention it for the time being and would mention it in the future.
Good.
3 days from now, the top 10 will be able to enter the ancient hall of the Saint Emperor to comprehend the Tao. Xie Qitian announced, and the banquet continued. The banquet lasted for half a day before it ended. The overlord forces began to leave one by one. The masters of the Wang family, the Jiang family, and the Divine Emperor also left in a hurry. They had to rush back to the East Baron to report to D.E. about Lu Ming. It was too strange. Lu Ming was still in the Talisman Amulet sect. How did he suddenly appear in the Central Continent, and now he was going to enter the Abyss Demon Realm? D.E. had to know about this as soon as possible. Soon, everyone dispersed. Lu Ming, come with us. The two guards in metal armor came to Lu Ming and said coldly. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the two of them and realized that he could not see through their cultivation at all. Their cultivation was unfathomable. To the Abyss Demon territory? Lu Ming said. That's right. The Sage Emperor ordered us to take you to the Abyss Demonic Realm. The entrance to the Abyss Demonic Realm is to the north of the Holy City. One of the armored guards said. Please. Lu Ming nodded. The two armored guards took the lead, and Lu Ming followed behind. They headed north of the Holy City. Not long after, they arrived at the northern side of the Holy City. After passing through layers and layers of barriers, they came to a huge door of light. Along the way, Lu Ming did a quick calculation. They had passed a total of 18 checkpoints. Each checkpoint had an extremely powerful array and was guarded by powerful experts. It could be seen that the imperial family placed great importance on this place. This is the entrance to the Abyss Demon Realm. Take this jade token. As long as you kill a fiend clan member in the Abyss Demon Realm, the jade token will sense it, and you'll get the corresponding points. One of the armored guards introduced. However, there was a hint of a cold smile in the depths of his eyes. Many thanks. Lu Ming took the jade card and kept it. All right, let's go in. One of the guards said. Lu Ming nodded and turned around. He stepped into the door of light and disappeared. You want to get 10,000 points in the Abyss Demon Realm? Dream on. Stay there for the rest of your life. The Sage Emperor's move is truly brilliant. The two guards sneered, then turned around and strode away. At this moment, in the palace, Xie Zhen and Xie Qiyu were sitting opposite each other in a hall. Imperial Brothers' move is indeed brilliant. Not only did you shut Lu Ming's mouth, but you also fulfilled your promise. I'm really impressed. Xie Qiyu took a sip of the spirit tea and smiled. It's almost impossible to kill the Mo Sha in the Abyss Demon territory and get 10,000 points. But I still feel uneasy. Xie Zhen frowned. That bitch, Xian Yanqing, is too talented. He's no weaker, than the top figures. Moreover, he has awakened a dark-type bloodline. He's like a fish in water in the abyss demon territory. He can still cultivate and improve his cultivation. As for that Lu Ming, he's even more shocking. 3 years ago, he was only at the Sea of Souls realm, and his cultivation was lower than mine. However, in just a short 3 years, his cultivation has soared to the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. His combat strength is even more shocking, and he has defeated many big shots and geniuses in a row. In my opinion, no one can suppress him except Long Chen. I can't rest easy as long as such a person is alive. You want to kill him in the Abyss Demon Realm?
Xie Tianyu said.
That's right. However, although this Lu Ming's cultivation is only at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm, his combat strength is too terrifying. I'm afraid that even an ordinary 6th level spiritual god is not his match. To kill him, we'll have to mobilize a 7th level spiritual god or even stronger existence. However, with my authority, I can't mobilize such a strong existence. Therefore, I'll need Imperial Uncle's help.
Xie Zhen said.
You're right. We can't let Lu Ming live. We should take this opportunity to kill Xie Nianqing and the other mutant. Xie Qiyu's face revealed a cold smile. Many thanks, Imperial Uncle. Xie Zhen was overjoyed as he thanked him. After Lu Ming stepped into the door of light, he stepped out from another door of light. Where is this place? Lu Ming swept his gaze and realized that he had already arrived at another place. This place seemed to be a city. Above the city, there was a huge light shield that covered the entire city, making it impossible to see the scene outside the light shield. Is this the Abyss Demon territory? Lu Ming's heart stirred. Another person has come. A voice was heard from the side. Lu Ming saw a few burly men in armor. Big brothers, is this the Abyss Demon territory? Lu Ming went forward and asked. That's right. This is the Abyss Demon territory. We're from the royal family, and we're responsible for guarding the city and preventing the Fiend clan from attacking the exit here. Why have you come here? One of the burly men explained and asked. I'm here to hunt down the Mo Sha clan and obtain points. Lu Ming said, but he did not tell the truth. Another exiles. Upon hearing Lu Ming's words, the few burly men's faces turned cold and they sneered. Exiles? Lu Ming frowned. All right, you can stay in this city for the night. The moon is high in the sky now, and the demonic qi is at its strongest. In order to prevent the demonic qi from seeping in, the city is now tightly closed and will not open. You can leave the city tomorrow. A man in armor waved his hand and said. Lu Ming nodded. He did not ask further and left the place in big strides. Not long after, Lu Ming came to a street and realized that there were quite a lot of people here. However, every one of them had an extremely strong aura and were all experts. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he found that there were many spiritual god realm existences. These people were all sent by the imperial family to guard this place. Lu Ming walked around and asked around. Indeed, he could not leave the city now. He had to wait until tomorrow. Lu Ming casually found a quiet place and sat cross-legged, waiting quietly. More than an hour after Lu Ming had entered the place, the door of light in the Abyss Demon territory flashed and 4 elders appeared. Chapter 1134. 1134 8th Level Spiritual God Realm Expert. As soon as the 4 old men appeared, a terrifying aura emanated from their bodies, causing the expressions of the armored men to change. You guys, what are you talking about? One of the armored men asked. One of the old men waved his hand, and a token appeared in his hand. When the armored men saw the token, they immediately straightened their bodies and showed a respectful expression. So it's you, sirs. May I know why you've come? One of the armored men asked carefully. Was there a young man who entered earlier? The old man with the token asked. My lord, are you referring to the exiles? He came about an hour ago, so he should be somewhere in the city now. The armored man replied respectfully. Somewhere in the city. The four old men nodded and left. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Lu Ming flew toward the city wall. Those who want to leave the city, hurry up and leave the city. At the city gate, a burly man in battle armor shouted. At this moment, the city gate had already opened up to a gap that could only allow one person to pass through. From the opening, black mist spread in. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he rushed out of the opening. Is this the Abyss Demon territory? After rushing out of the city, the light suddenly dimmed. The light between heaven and earth was very dim, and there was a black mist floating between heaven and earth. The entire land was dark. He raised his head and saw a sun in the sky. However, the sun was also dark and seemed very oppressive. This place is filled with dense demonic qi, but there's no spiritual qi of heaven and earth here. Lu Ming sensed and realized that there was no spiritual energy in this world. Instead, it was filled with thick demonic energy. It would be very difficult for ordinary warriors to cultivate here. Because there was no spiritual qi of heaven and earth, they could only absorb demonic qi and refine it. However, the difficulty of refining demonic qi was tens or even hundreds of times more difficult than refining spiritual qi of heaven and earth. However, it did not matter to Lu Ming. He had the 9 dragons bloodline and could devour and refine everything. He could also quickly refine the demonic qi. Little Qing, where are you? Lu Ming looked into the distance. His body moved, and he turned into a ray of light that rushed forward. Not long after Lu Ming disappeared, 4 elders rushed out of the city behind him. Their expressions changed, and they chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming walked forward and sized up the Abyss Demon territory. The demon realm of the Abyss was vast and boundless, with mountains, rivers, and everything. It was said that it was an extremely large midplane that automatically evil-levered into a boundless world. There were countless living beings and plants here. Most of the plants were black or dark red. There were also powerful demonic beasts here. However, these demonic beasts were born from absorbing demonic qi and were called demonic beasts. They had low intelligence, but they were very powerful. Of course, the ruler of the Abyss Demon territory was the Masha clan. It was said that the Fiend clan was a large clan in the Divine Wilderness continent long ago. They occupied a large territory, but were later defeated by the human race and escaped to the Abyss Demon territory. However, they were still very powerful and would often attack the ancient Saint Dynasty's Xia clan. Therefore, the royal family had sent an army to guard the entrance. Moreover, the Fiend clan was extremely cunning. They could fly in the sky and burrow underground in the 9 Abyss Demon territory, so it was very difficult to kill them. Although the royal family and the Xia family would send experts to kill them every once in a while, they could not kill all of them. They were a big threat to the royal family. There was also a rumor that the reason why the Chaotic Heavens divine warrior Xiaowan was able to launch a rebellion and inflict heavy losses on the royal Xia clan was because he had the help of the devil clan of the demon realm. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a black ray of light shot out from a mountain peak below at an astonishing speed, heading straight for Lu Ming. What? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He stretched out 2 fingers and flicked them accurately at the dark light, sending it flying. This is the Devil Clan? Lu Ming looked at the creature that attacked him. It was a human-shaped living being that was 2 heads shorter than Lu Ming. This living being was covered in black hair and had a pair of wings on its back. On the wings, there were sharp black bone spikes. It was the same bone spike that had stabbed him just now. Furthermore, this living being had a mouth full of fangs and an extremely ferocious appearance, just like the Azuras in the legends. This was the Mo Sha clan. Human kill. The Masha clansman howled. He held a black bone spur in his hand. He flapped his wings and charged at Lu Ming at top speed. The bone spur in his hand was like a sharp sword. This Mo Sha clan was equivalent to a human martial artist of the 5th level of the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a spear's gleam appeared. It flashed and disappeared like a bolt of lightning, flying out and killing the fiend clan member. Then, a jade card appeared in Lu Ming's hand. However, there was no reaction from the jade token. Didn't they say that killing a Mo Sha would give the corresponding points? Why is there no reaction? Lu Ming furrowed his eyebrows slightly. Then, he flew closer to the corpse of the Mo Sha, but there was still no reaction. No points appeared at all. What's going on? Lu Ming's frown deepened. Not good, Lu Ming. There are a few powerful beings flying over at high speed from the distance. They're coming from the direction of the city you came from. Dandan, who had just arrived in the Abyss Demon Realm, crawled out and suddenly shouted. How many powerful existences are there? Could it be that you're also here to hunt down the Mo Sha clan? Lu Ming muttered and looked in that direction.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh,
whoosh. 4 rainbow lights streaked across the sky and flew over at an extreme speed, bringing with them a rumbling sonic boom. When he saw Lu Ming, his eyes suddenly lit up and a cold killing intent filled the air. There's killing intent. He's here to kill me. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he retreated without hesitation. Lu Ming, die. A black-robed elder roared, his voice shaking the firmament. A Asilavir combat sword was unsheathed from his back. A Asilavir sword light illuminated the dark abyss demon territory, splitting the sky. The terrifying sword chi instantly crossed the distance of hundreds of miles and slashed toward Lu Ming. Not good. This is the 8th level of the spiritual god realm. Lu Ming was shocked. The power of this sword was too terrifying, incomparably terrifying, as if it could destroy everything. Furthermore, it was so fast that Lu Ming did not even have the time to perform the blood meridian fusion. He could only burst out the 7 rays of dragon energy from the 9 dragons' blood meridian and fuse them into his body. At the same time, the space between his eyebrows glowed, and the small red pagoda appeared. It expanded rapidly and blocked in front of Lu Ming. Clang! The Asilavir sword gleam slashed at the red tower. The terrifying force sent the red tower flying and crashed into Lu Ming. Lu Ming and the red tower were like 2 cannonballs flying backward. Boom! Lu Ming crashed into a mountain peak, breaking the peak of the mountain. His body flew back a few miles before stopping in the air, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming was injured in one move. Chapter 1135. 1135 Chapter 1135 Endless Killing Intent.
Buzz. Whoosh.
The 4 elders appeared around Lu Ming and surrounded him. Their terrifying auras bloomed without any concealment, forming a terrifying pressure that pressed down on him. 2 were at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm, and 2 were at the 8th level of the spiritual god realm. Lu Ming could sense the strength of the 4 people. The royal Xia family is truly despicable. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and revealed a mocking smile. To be able to enter this place to kill him, other than the royal family and the Xia family, there would not be a second force. He didn't need to guess to know that these 4 people were definitely sent by the royal family's Xia family. Lu Ming had not expected the royal Xia family, the royal family of the ancient Saint dynasty, to be so despicable. He promised him in front of others, but secretly sent people to kill him. Moreover, they really thought highly of him, sending 2 7th-level spiritual gods and 2 8th-level spiritual gods. This kind of person was considered a high-level spiritual god. Even among the various forces, he was considered a top expert. Those who were able to cultivate to the 7th tier of the spiritual god realm and above were not weak in their talents. Generally, It would be difficult for those with second or third level divine level bloodlines to cultivate to the 7th tier of the spiritual god realm and above. Those who were able to reach the 7th tier of the spiritual god realm and above would usually awaken bloodlines that were 4th level divine level and above. There was no doubt that such a person had definitely mastered a god-level martial technique and was very powerful. Even with Lu Ming's combat strength, it would not be a problem for him to defeat or even kill an expert at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm. However, he would definitely not be a match for an expert at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm. Not to mention the existence of an 8th level spiritual god. Facing an 8th level spiritual god, Lu Ming's chances of survival were slim. This time it was a sure kill. Impudent. The royal family is not something you can comment on. You want to save Xian Yanqing? What a wild dream. An elder in the 7th level of the spiritual god realm berated. A battle saber was suspended above his head, and a terrifying saber intent bloomed in the air. He, acting one way in front of others, and another way behind others. To do such a despicable and shameless thing, how can you have the face to be part of the royal family? No wonder the Xie family declined. Lu Ming sneered. How dare you? You're courting death. Everyone, you'll hold the line for me. Leave this kid to me. I'll kill him today. The old man with the floating saber shouted with a sharp killing intent. All right, I'll leave him to you. The elder at the 8th level of the spiritual god realm who had attacked earlier nodded and retreated with the other 2 people. They formed a huge encirclement, surrounding Lu Ming and his companion in the middle and blocking all of Lu Ming's escape routes. Buzz. The saber trembled as it was held by the old man. His eyes were filled with excitement, and he said with a ferocious smile, Lu Ming, remember, the one who killed you is Xie. Buzz. The saber slashed down, and the saber power filled the air. A vast and terrifying saber radiance slashed towards Lu Ming. The 3rd bloodline appeared above Lu Ming's head. A wisp of energy surged into Lu Ming's body, turning his long black hair blood red. At the same time, the 3rd bloodline squirmed and transformed into a long spear. Buzz. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and swept it out, colliding with the saber gleam.
Boom.
The terrifying sound of the explosion spread thousands of miles away. Lu Ming's body trembled, and he could not help but retreat. The 7th level spiritual god realm's combat strength is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. His combat strength at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm had completely surpassed Lu Ming.
Die.
So, what if you're a heaven's favorite whose name shakes the world? So, what if he was a rare heaven's favorite? You're still going to die in my hands. Xie howled, his saber intent growing stronger as he charged at Lu Ming. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming transformed into the 9 dragons. With the power of his 3rd bloodline, he launched a violent attack and fought Xie. Xie also used his bloodline fusion. Xie's bloodline was a 5th level divine level saber. Under the activation of his 7th level spiritual god cultivation, it was incomparably powerful. Lu Ming was completely suppressed. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had been exchanged, and several saber wounds had appeared on the 9 dragons' body. This person's combat strength is truly astonishing. With his cultivation at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm, he was actually able to fight with Xie for such a long time. It's simply unbelievable. An elder at the side said. Even though he was about to kill Lu Ming, he could not help but exclaim. In the spiritual god realm, it would be more difficult to fight across levels as one advanced. To be able to fight so many moves with a 7th level spiritual god realm expert with the cultivation of the 3rd level spiritual god realm was truly too shocking. It was simply inconceivable. They had lived for thousands of years, but this was the first time they had seen such a thing. This kid's talent is truly heaven-defying. In the divine wilderness continent, other than Long Chen, no one is his match. In time, he will become a terrifying and invincible emperor. Unfortunately, this kid is too lawless. Only death awaits him. The other elder said. His voice was cold, but his eyes were filled with surprise. Brat, die. Xie roared, his battle prowess growing even more violent. After exchanging dozens of moves, he still could not kill Lu Ming. He felt very embarrassed, and the killing intent in his heart grew stronger. Old man, you've cultivated for thousands of years and only have this little combat power. If I were you, I would have killed myself. Lu Ming spoke sarcastically, but he was rapidly thinking of a way to escape. The surroundings were sealed off by 3 powerhouses. It was too difficult to break through. The main thing was that the 8th level of the spiritual god realm was too powerful. If there were 4 7th level spiritual god realm existences, Lu Ming would have full confidence in breaking through with the 9 dragons' heaven stomping steps. However, with 2 8th level spiritual god realm existences, the chances of Lu Ming breaking through were very small. Brat, you think you're a genius? A dead genius is no genius. Let me tell you, after I kill you today, I'll go after Xian Yinqing. If you want to leave, dream on. Xie coldly shouted, his attacks becoming even more violent. Boom. Lu Ming's eyes were bloodshot as he bellowed. You still want to kill little Qing? That lowly beast should have died long ago. This time, I'll take care of him as well. Xie sneered. You all deserve to die, kill.
Kill. Kill.
Lu Ming let out a furious roar. His 3rd blood meridian trembled, and wisps of energy surged towards Lu Ming, filling his heart with endless killing intent. Lu Ming's killing intent was already frighteningly intense when Xie said that they were going to kill Xian Yinqing. Coupled with the power of his 3rd bloodline, there was only endless killing intent in his mind.
Kid, stop.
You can't use too much of your bloodline's power. Otherwise, you'll become a puppet that only knows how to kill. Dandan called out to Lu Ming, allowing him to barely retain a trace of clarity. At this moment, Lu Ming's body seemed to be filled with infinite power. The 9 dragons emitted a thick blood-red color. Buzz. The 9 dragons swiped their claws at Xie. Not good, this strength. Xie's eyes widened in shock. In an instant, he felt the power in Lu Ming's body increase explosively, especially his killing intent. It was extremely terrifying, as if he wanted to kill all the living creatures in the world. It made his heart turn cold, and he shivered. The claws of the 9 dragons clawed at him, and he seemed to be suffocating. Xie let out a hysterical roar and launched his most powerful attack to collide with the 9 dragons' dragon claws. Chapter 1136. 1130. 6 Dandan's main body. Bang! Xie's body was sent flying as he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was enveloped by endless killing intent and could not exert his full strength at all. In addition, Lu Ming had borrowed more power from the 3rd bloodline. With a full-force attack, he had injured Xie. Then, the 9 dragons let out a long roar and collapsed. However, in the light of the collapse of the 9 dragons, a huge stone tablet rushed out and bloomed with light. The bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel. As soon as the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was unleashed, it grew rapidly to the size of a mountain. The prison-suppressing steel was also filled with a thick blood-red light, which pressed down on Xie Yan with an immense force. Help! Xie shrieked in fear as he felt the terrifying killing intent and all-suppressing aura from the prison-suppressing steel. Stop! At the side, the other 3 experts shouted and rushed toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not care and continued to suppress Xie. No! Xie roared and used all his strength to resist. However, his current injuries had greatly reduced his combat strength, so how could he resist? As the prison-suppressing steel pressed down, Xie spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood vessels in his body burst, and in the next moment, his entire body exploded with a bang. Xie, a 7th-level spiritual god realm expert, was killed by Lu Ming on the spot.
Boom. Boom.
Boom. At the same time, the other 3 attacks hit the prison-suppressing steel at the same time, sending it flying. It shook violently and almost collapsed. Kill, kill, kill. The prison-suppressing steel shook, and Lu Ming's cold and emotionless voice kept coming out of it. The blood-red light filled the air. We can't let this kid live. An elder in the 8th level of the spiritual god realm spoke, his heart filled with shock. A 3rd-level spiritual god realm martial artist was actually able to kill a 7th-level spiritual god realm expert. It was too shocking, and he had never heard of it. He felt a chill in his heart and was filled with the desire to kill Lu Ming. 2 of them were at the 8th level of the spiritual god realm, while the other was at the 7th level. Their bodies emitted a terrifying aura that locked onto Lu Ming. All of you will die today. Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. He wanted to borrow more power from the 3rd bloodline to kill these people. Lu Ming, you can't continue to borrow the power of your bloodline. Otherwise, it'll be difficult for you to maintain your consciousness. Dandan shouted. Kill. These people must be killed. Lu Ming shouted. At this moment, there was only a trace of clarity left in his mind. It was as if he would be devoured and drowned by endless killing intent at any moment. However, it was obviously not enough to kill an 8th-level spiritual god. He needed to borrow more power. However, once he borrowed more power, it would be difficult for Lu Ming to maintain the peace in his heart. He would definitely be devoured by the endless killing intent. But at this point, was there any other way? Lu Ming could only risk his life. Forget it. Forget it. I'll risk my life for once. Boy, there's no need to continue borrowing power. Dandan heaved long sighs and flew away from Lu Ming toward the 3 experts. You 3 brats, you can die without regrets if you can witness my true power today, Dandan said. At this moment, her body emitted a brilliant light, and a terrifying aura emanated from her body. This aura was high and mighty, as if it was the master of the world, overlooking the endless lives of the world. It also seemed like the entire world. He was the world, and the world was him. In the light, Dandan's body grew at a terrifying speed. Finally, it turned into a divine turtle that was as tall as the sky and larger than a mountain. This is... The 3 old men were shocked. They felt a fatal threat from the giant divine turtle.
Die. Attack.
A voice came out of the giant divine turtle's mouth. The giant turtle grabbed at the 7th-level spiritual god realm expert. The 7th-level spiritual god realm expert wanted to dodge, but he realized that he couldn't move his body. He was imprisoned there, as if he was locked in a world. No.
Die.
He roared. He watched as the huge claw slammed down and his entire body exploded. Not good, let's go. The remaining 2 8th-level spiritual god realm experts roared in horror. They wanted to escape, but their bodies seemed to have sunk into quagmire, and it was extremely difficult for them to move. Kill.
Kill.
The giant tortoise spat out the word. 2 beams of light shot out from its mouth and pierced through the 2 elders in the 8th level of the spiritual god realm, killing them. The 2 8th-level spiritual god realm experts had died, just like that. Even though Lu Ming was filled with endless killing intent, he was still dumbfounded. After killing the 3 experts, the giant turtle rapidly shrank and turned back into a small turtle. It lay in the air weakly and shouted, "What a loss! What a loss! I've accumulated so much energy for so long, and it's almost all used up in a short while. Lu Ming, you must stay with me. Stay with me." Dandan shouted and floated weakly to Lu Ming. Let's go. Lu Ming's mind barely had a trace of clarity. At this moment, He waved his hand and stored Dandan and the two 8th level spiritual god realm experts' corpses into the mountain and river diagram. His body moved, and he left the place. The great disturbance here would definitely alert the experts in the city, so they had to leave as soon as possible. Lu Ming turned into a ray of blood-red light and traversed the vast land. Soon, he appeared 1,000,000 miles away. He found a hidden place and entered the mountain and river diagram. As soon as he entered the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree. He closed his eyes and tried his best to resist the endless killing intent. The endless killing intent seemed to be able to drown Lu Ming at any time, turning him into a killing machine. The blood light on his body was shining, but slowly, it faded back into the 3rd bloodline. He sat there for half a month. Half a month later, the power of the 3rd bloodline was completely retracted into the 3rd bloodline and back to Lu Ming's spine. At the same time, he dispelled the endless killing intent in his heart. At this moment, Lu Ming finally opened his eyes. There was no longer any killing intent in his eyes, only clarity. Who? Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief.
It was really a close call this time.
He was almost devoured by the killing intent in the 3rd bloodline. The 3rd bloodline was a double-edged sword. One had to be extremely careful when using it. If one's cultivation wasn't high enough and they borrowed too much power, they would be drowned in endless killing intent. This time, it was fortunate that Dandan had made a move at the end. Otherwise, he would have to borrow even more power. If that had happened, Lu Ming would very likely have been drowned by endless killing intent and become a killing puppet. At the thought of Dandan, Lu Ming looked to the side and happened to see Dandan lying there, gnawing on a stalk of spiritual medicine, looking very weak. Seeing that Lu Ming had woken up, Dandan's back claw kicked and landed on Lu Ming's shoulder, shouting, "Lu Ming, I've suffered a great loss this time. I've lost a lot of vitality. You have to give me the spirit herbs. Otherwise, I won't let you off." "All right, in the future, as long as I don't need any spirit herbs, I'll give them to you." Lu Ming smiled. He waved his hand, and a pile of spiritual herbs appeared. Dandan's eyes lit up, and she swallowed all the spirit herbs in one gulp, leaving them behind to eat slowly. "Brat, at least you still have some conscience." Dandan muttered a few words, and then put on a smug look and said, "How is it? I'm invincible, right?"
A.
Chapter 1137. 1137 Chapter 1137 Bloodline Advancement. It is indeed very powerful. This time, Lu Ming was full of admiration. Dandan could actually transform into such a huge turtle. It was extremely terrifying and could kill an 8th level spiritual god in seconds. Lu Ming was really shocked. "Don't make a fuss. Let me tell you, if it wasn't for the fact that this lord's strength is far from recovered, it wouldn't be just that little bit of strength. I'm the divine turtle of the world, the head of the top 10 war beasts. If I'm at my peak, I'll be as large as a world in my true form. Even a martial emperor can be blown to death with a single breath, let alone a mere 8th level spiritual god realm martial artist." Dandan was proud of himself. He felt very comfortable when he saw Lu Ming's expression of admiration. "Could it be that you've surpassed the emperor level at your peak?" Lu Ming asked curiously. At this point, Lu Ming naturally believed that this was a rebirth of a super expert. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such means. Of course, which one of the top 10 battle beasts isn't invincible? Martial emperors are nothing. Take your 9 dragons bloodline as an example. If the 9 dragons were at their peak, they could devour the sun and the moon. Even the sun and the moon in the sky would be devoured by them. What martial emperors! They could devour a whole area with one bite. Dandan's face was full of confidence. Then she sighed and said, "Other than me, I wonder if any of the top 10 battle beasts have survived. That battle back then." AI. At the end of her sentence, Dandan sighed. Lu Ming pricked up his ears and listened carefully. Now, with Danden's recovery, his memory seemed to have recovered a lot. He might even be able to hear some secrets from him that no one knew. Danden cast a glance at Lu Ming and said, "Sai, I'm too weak. I need a good rest. And NBSB." After saying that, he ran away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming was speechless. Then he moved and appeared on another mountain peak. The two 8th level spiritual god realm elders' corpses were still lying there. A spirit god's corpse would not rot even after a few years or even decades. Unfortunately, my true qi and blood qi have already dissipated. Lu Ming sensed it and sighed slightly. He felt that it was a waste. However, the blood essence should still be there. Even if a year has passed since the death of an 8th level spiritual god realm expert, the blood essence should still be there. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The 9-dragon bloodline emerged, and the devouring power burst forth. A total of 18 blood essence pearls that looked like blood-red pearls flew out and were devoured by the 9 dragons. Lu Ming sat cross-legged and began to refine them. The blood essence and power of the two 8th level spiritual god realm martial artists were astonishingly rich. Lu Ming began to refine them with all his might. Around the 9-dragon bloodline, there were 7 golden chakra, which were extremely dazzling. As the power of blood essence was refined and integrated, the 7 golden chakras shone more and more brightly. After a moment, there was a sudden buzz, and another pale golden chakra appeared. The 8th golden chakra. The 9-dragon bloodline had advanced by another level, advancing to the divine level rank 8 bloodline. The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared, and its body rapidly grew in size and length. It was twice as large as before, and it was even more powerful and mighty. Collect. With a single thought, the 9-dragon bloodline shrank rapidly, turning into a ray of blood-red light that seeped into Lu Ming's spine. As expected, there's an extra dragon energy. Wait, this dragon energy is so strong. Lu Ming sensed a little, and his eyes lit up. The advancement of the 9-dragon bloodline also gave birth to one more dragon energy. However, Lu Ming felt that the 8th dragon energy was very powerful, comparable to the sum of the previous 7 dragon energies. In fact, Lu Ming had already discovered before this that each dragon energy would be stronger than the previous one. However, the extent of the strength was limited and not too exaggerated. However, the 8th dragon energy was much stronger than the 7th. An 8th level divine level bloodline is indeed extraordinary. No wonder only those who have awakened an 8th level divine level bloodline can be called second-grade prodigies in the central continent. A 7th level divine level bloodline is much weaker than an 8th level divine level bloodline. Lu Ming pondered in his heart, and a smile appeared on his face. The stronger his dragon power was, the stronger his combat power would be when he used it. Lu Ming was looking forward to what kind of changes would happen when his 9-dragon bloodline advanced to the highest level, the 9th level of the divine level. How strong would his dragon energy be? There was a huge difference between a level 9 divine level expert and a level 8 divine level expert. The difference between a heaven's favorite of a big shot and a second-grade heaven's favorite could be seen. If the 9 dragons bloodline and the prison-suppressing steel bloodline were both promoted to divine level 9, how powerful would Lu Ming's combat strength be? If Lu Ming were to unleash all his dragon power now, he would definitely be able to defeat the other powerful prodigies like Darkchild and the 3-headed Hellhound easily and quickly. After that, Lu Ming kept the 2 8th level spiritual god realm elders' storage rings. Then, with a wave of his hand, flames spread out and turned the 2 elders' corpses into ashes. Who sent people to kill me? Lu Ming furrowed his brows in deep thought. At first, he thought that it was Xie Qitian who had sent people to kill him. However, those people said that they were going to kill Xie Nianqing after killing him. This made Lu Ming speculate that it was not Xie Qitian. If Xie Qitian wanted to kill Xie Nianqing, He would have done so long ago. Why would he wait until now? Lu Ming guessed that it was someone else who had sent someone. Could it be Xiezhen? However, does Xiezhen have such great power to mobilize an 8th-level spiritual god realm expert? Lu Ming pondered. There were more than 10 princes under Xie Qitian. Xie Qitian's talent was average, so he might not have that much power. There's probably someone else helping Xiezhen. Could it be Xie Qiyu? This was because only these two people wanted Lu Ming dead the most. At the same time, Xiezhen had previously sent someone to assassinate Xian Yanqing. Therefore, he was the most likely to be the one. Xiezhen. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent. This person was someone Lu Ming had to kill. After thinking for a while, Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and continued in the direction of the depths of the Abyss Demon Realm. This time, Lu Ming slowed down. Along the way, he encountered many Masha clansmen who attacked him. They were all in the Spirit Embryo Realm. There were those in the 7th, 8th, and 9th level of the Spirit Embryo Realm, but Lu Ming easily killed them all. However, not a single point appeared on the Jade token. Did Xie Qitian lie to me? A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he continued to fly. A day later, Lu Ming had no idea how far he had traveled. A city appeared in front of him. From a distance, there were people on the city. It was a human race martial artist, not a Mo Sha. This should be a gathering place for humans. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he flew toward the city. If there were people, they could ask them about Xian Yanqing. As Lu Ming approached, the people in the city noticed him and looked at him coldly. It's the human race. On the city wall, someone muttered, his eyes bright. Who are you?
Someone on the city wall asked.
I've just entered the Abyss Demon territory. Please let me in. Lu Ming said. I'm new. The eyes of the person on the city wall brightened. Since you're human, come in. Lu Ming nodded. He flew up the city wall and headed into the city. This city wasn't big, and there were even fewer people on the ground. At a glance, other than the more than 100 people on the surrounding city walls, there were less than 200 people in the city. All of them were sitting cross-legged on the top of various buildings, as if they were cultivating or meditating. Chapter 1138. 1138 Chapter 1138 Scam. As soon as Lu Ming flew into the city, many pairs of eyes looked at him. He's a newcomer. It's not the time for the royal family to send people to hunt down the Mo Sha clan yet. It seems that this person has offended the royal family and was exiled here. He's so young. Hee. I'm afraid he's a heaven's favorite from some force. He must have a lot of money on him. Leave this person to me. I need raw gemstones.
He said.
Bullshit. Who doesn't need raw gemstones? This kid is mine. Voices rang out all around as they stared at Lu Ming with burning eyes. Naturally, Lu Ming heard these voices as well. He furrowed his brows and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. It's mine. A burly figure rushed out with an angry roar. He raised his hand and slammed it down on Lu Ming. The space trembled continuously, and a powerful force surged toward Lu Ming. This was a first-level spiritual god, realm expert. You're looking for death. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he struck out with his palm. His palm was like a heavenly blade, cutting into the man's palm. With a cracking sound, the man's palm bone was broken by Lu Ming. He screamed and retreated frantically, looking at Lu Ming in horror. This person has some skill. Let's attack together.
Kill.
Someone shouted, and 7 to 8 figures pounced on Lu Ming. These 7 to 8 figures were actually all spiritual god realm experts. Some were at the first level of the spiritual god realm, while others were at the second level. The highest one was at the third level of the spiritual god realm. The 8 of them attacked at the same time, and the momentum was extremely shocking. All kinds of attacks covered Lu Ming's entire body. If it were an ordinary third-level spiritual god realm martial artist, he would have been injured or even suppressed under the siege of so many experts. However, how could Lu Ming be compared to an ordinary third-level spiritual god? Activating the prison suppression heaven art, he struck out 8 palms in a row.
Bang, bang, bang.
There were 8 explosions, followed by the sound of bones breaking and a series of screams. The 8 figures spat out blood and fell back, heavily crashing into the surrounding buildings. Regardless of whether it was the first level, second level, or even the third level spiritual god realm expert, they would all end up the same. Lu Ming had shown mercy. Otherwise, they would have all died in one move. Everyone in the surroundings gasped and looked at Lu Ming in shock. It was too terrifying. With just one move, he had severely injured all 8 experts, including the third-level spiritual god realm. What kind of combat strength was this? Moreover, he looked so young, which was even more unbelievable. Could it be a heaven's favorite of the big shots outside? Someone said with a trembling voice, causing everyone to shiver. At this moment, no one dared to make a move. Although there were several hundred people in the city, it was impossible for all of them to be at the spirit god realm. In fact, most of them were at the spirit embryo realm, and there were only a dozen or so people at the spirit god realm. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept across the surroundings. When those people met Lu Ming's gaze, their hearts trembled, and they did not dare to look directly into his eyes. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared above the third-level spiritual god realm expert. It was an old man with white hair and a thin body. He looked at Lu Ming in horror. Lu Ming's palm contained a terrifying power, but it did not explode. He had a feeling that if it had, he would have been dead. "Young hero, please spare my life." This old man was momentarily confused. The old man begged for mercy. "Tell me, why did you attack me the moment I entered?" Lu Ming asked coldly. "Well, we were forced to do this." "Young hero, you must have just entered the demon realm of Tartarus, right? Let me explain it to you in detail." The thin old man sighed and began to explain in detail. As it turned out, these people had offended the royal family, or they were people who belonged to the ancient Saint dynasty. Because of their mistakes, they had been exiled to the Abyss Demon Realm and were forced to kill the Masha clan to atone for their sins. However, there were countless members of the Masha clan in the demon realm of Tartarus, and they were everywhere. It was very dangerous. As for human warriors, they absorbed and refined the demonic chi very slowly in the Abyss demon territory. As time went by, the raw stones they brought would be used up. If they refined the demonic chi too slowly, it would be very disadvantageous for them when they fought the Devil Clan. Sometimes, it wasn't them who hunted the Devil Clan, but the Devil Clan who hunted them instead. They had no choice but to gather together and build a city to resist the Devil Clan. This was also the reason why Lu Ming could see this small city. And what was the most precious thing to the people of the Abyss Demon Realm? Of course, the raw gemstones were the most precious. Therefore, when they saw that Lu Ming had just entered the Abyss Demon Realm, they were naturally greedy and wanted to take his raw gemstones. To put it bluntly, they were just a group of pitiful people. "All of you can leave now, I won't make things difficult for you." Lu Ming waved his hand and dismissed the few people who had attacked, leaving only the old man behind. The skinny old man had the highest cultivation level among them, so he should be the leader. "Young hero, do you have any other orders?" The skinny old man looked at Lu Ming, feeling a little uneasy. To be honest, he had lived for so many years, but he had never seen such a terrifying young expert. "Let me ask you, the reason why the royal family banished you here and ordered you to hunt down the Mo Shah clan was to obtain points, right? Once you have enough points, they will let you go, right?" Lu Ming asked. "That's right. That's indeed the case. However, the points are just a scam." The skinny old man gritted his teeth. "A scam? What was going on? Why didn't I get any points from killing the Devil Clan?" Lu Ming asked. Young hero, the royal family told you. How many points do you need to get out? The skinny old man asked. 10,000. Lu Ming said. 10,000. The skinny old man's eyes suddenly widened. He gasped, and his face was full of disbelief. Lu Ming frowned, waiting for the elder to continue. Haha, young hero, in my opinion, the imperial family has no intention of letting you out. They want to lock you up here for the rest of your life. The old man said with a bitter smile. What do you mean? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Young hero, you still don't know how to get points, right? Let me tell you, killing a demon clan below the spiritual god realm doesn't give you any points. You can only get points by killing a spiritual god powerhouse or above. Killing a first-level spiritual god will earn you 1 point. Killing a second-level spiritual god will earn you 2 points. Killing a third-level spiritual god will earn you 3 points, and so on. Killing a 9th-level spiritual god will earn you 9 points. Killing a perfected spiritual god will earn you 10 points. Killing a supreme being from the Masha clan will earn you 100 points, and killing an emperor-level Masha will earn you 10,000 points. The skinny old man explained. Damn it. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He understood that he had been tricked. Xie Qitian, a dignified sage emperor, had actually lied to him. According to this point conversion, how could he possibly obtain 10,000 points? Killing a first-level spiritual god from the Masha clan was only worth 1 point, while killing a perfected spiritual god was only worth 10 points. Even a supreme being from the Masha clan only had 100 points. This meant that he would have to kill 100 supreme beings in order to accumulate 10,000 points. Also, an emperor-level Masha would give 10,000 points, but killing an emperor-level Masha. Let's not even talk about whether there was an Emperor Realm Masha clan in the Abyss Demon territory. Even if there was one, Xie Qitian might not be able to do it himself, so how could Lu Ming? Chapter 1139. 1139 News of Xianyanqing. Perhaps Lu Ming would never be able to obtain 10,000 points in his entire life. They wanted to lock Lu Ming up in the Abyss Demon territory for the rest of his life. What a ruthless and brilliant method. Lu Ming's body exuded a cold, killing intent, causing the thin elder to shiver. We'll talk about everything after we find Little Qing. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief and retracted his murderous intent. Senior, do you know the whereabouts of the 16th princess, Xianyanqing? In the end, Lu Ming asked the question that he wanted to ask the most. The demon realm of Tartarus was too big, and it was no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. This old man had been here for many years, so he might know something. The 16th princess? Are you talking about the princess with the royal bloodline? The skinny old man said. Not bad. I have some impression of her. The 16th princess was exiled to the Abyss Demon territory 3 years ago. When she first came here, her cultivation was still weak, so she stayed in the periphery of the Abyss Demon territory for a while. Later, she stayed in the city for a whole year. I'm quite familiar with her. Sigh, it's a pity that the royal family treated such a rare and proud daughter of heaven like that. What do you want from her? The skinny old man said. He let out a long sigh, as if he was feeling sorry for Xianyanqing. Upon hearing this, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. I'm her friend. Senior, do you know where she is now? I don't know. The skinny elder shook his head. The royal family asked the 16th princess to have the same amount of points as you. She asked for 10,000 points. That's why she left this place and went deep into the Abyss Demon realm after her cultivation improved. Gotcha. The old man's words made Lu Ming clench his fists tightly. The killing intent in his heart could no longer be suppressed and burst out. Lu Ming's heart was very uncomfortable. His killing intent towards the royal family, Xie Zhen, and Xie Qitian was extremely strong. They were going to lock Xian Yinqing up in the Abyss Demon territory for the rest of his life. Especially 3 years ago, when Xian Yinqing's cultivation base was only at the spiritual ocean tier, they had locked him up in the Abyss Demon domain. One could imagine how much he had suffered and encountered danger in the past few years. At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart was in pain. But now, Xian Yinqing had already entered the depths of the demon realm. Where was he? Lu Ming's thoughts drifted, and he only calmed down after a long time. Senior, you can take these raw gemstones. Lu Ming gave the skinny old man a storage ring, which contained tens of thousands of raw stones. Then, he soared into the sky and left the city, heading toward the depths of Abyss Demon territory. There were also days and nights in the demon realm of Tartarus. During the day, there was a dark sun hanging in the sky. At night, there was a blood moon in the sky. Moreover, when the blood moon was in the sky, the demonic qi between heaven and earth would be extremely dense. At that time, the fiend clan and demonic beasts would be stronger, while the human clan would be suppressed. The blood moon hung high in the sky, and the demonic qi was vast and mighty. However, it did not affect Lu Ming much. The 9-dragon bloodline burst out, and the rolling demonic qi was devoured and refined into essential core in a flash. Lu Ming flew at high speed, deep into the Abyss Demon territory. There would definitely be more human warriors in the Abyss Demon territory. There must be other places where humans gathered in the depths of the Abyss Demon territory. Lu Ming planned to find out more about the human gathering place. Whoosh! Whoosh! A sharp sound pierced through the air. A few black figures whizzed over and charged toward Lu Ming. The 3 Fiend clan members were all extremely ferocious. They held bone spikes in their hands and charged at Lu Ming at a terrifying speed. Their auras were also very powerful. These were 3 first-level spiritual god realm demons. The blood moon hung high in the sky. It was extremely dangerous to walk in the Abyss Demon territory because many of the Masha clan would move out and demons would dance in chaos. Roar! The 9 dragons roared, and the devouring power enveloped the 3 fiends. They couldn't move at all, and their eyes were filled with fear. Then, the 9 dragons devoured the energy and blood essence of the 3 demons, turning them into 3 dried corpses. The 9 dragons had advanced to the 8th level of the divine level, and their devouring power had undoubtedly become even stronger. After killing the 3 first-level spiritual god realm demons, the jade token finally changed. A number appeared on it. 3. Lu Ming sneered coldly. Killing a first-level spiritual god realm demonic Sha clan member would only earn him 1 point. Compared to the terrifying 10,000 points, what was the use? Lu Ming continued to move toward the depths of the Abyss Demon territory. In a short while, the blood essence of the 3 first-level spiritual gods was completely refined by Lu Ming. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, the energy and blood essence of the first-level spiritual god realm were naturally of no use to him. In this way, Lu Ming advanced for 3 consecutive days. Along the way, he encountered more than a dozen attacks. There were attacks from the Devil Clan and the demonic beasts here, but there weren't many that were above the spirit god realm. Most of the attacks he encountered were from the spirit embryo realm. In 3 days, Lu Ming had crossed thousands of mountains and rivers.
Die.
The human race. Kill him. A sharp voice rang out in front of him. Lu Ming could tell that it was the voice of the Masha clan. Following that, a series of rumbling sounds came from ahead. It was clear that an intense battle had taken place. Lu Ming did not hesitate and flew toward the source of the sound. It had been 3 days, and they were finally going to meet humans again. On a mountain range, 7 or 8 Mo Sha clansmen were attacking a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's cultivation was extremely profound. He was at the 4th level of the spiritual god realm, and he was fighting against 7 or 8 of the Fiend clan. However, the 7 or 8 demons were all experts. The weakest among them was at the 2nd level of the spiritual god realm. The others were at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm, and one was at the 4th level. The large man was at a disadvantage with so many of the Fiend clan members joining forces. He could only block and not fight back. Break. The burly man fought back with all his might, killing a 2nd-level spiritual god realm Masha clansman with a single blow of his axe. However, his back was also slashed by a 4th-level spiritual god realm Masha clansman's bone spur, causing blood to flow out. He mustered up all his strength and broke out of the encirclement, fleeing forward. Behind him, the other Mo Sha clan members were chasing after him. The direction that the middle-aged burly man was running in was Lu Ming's direction. The middle-aged man saw Lu Ming after flying for a distance. "Little brother, let's go," the middle-aged man shouted. However, Lu Ming stood in the air, motionless. "Little brother, let's go. There are experts from the Devil clan behind us." Seeing that Lu Ming did not move, the middle-aged man shouted again anxiously. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a faint smile. This middle-aged man was kind enough to remind him to leave. If it were an ordinary person, he would have used Lu Ming as a shield to buy himself some time. "It's just a few Mo Sha clansmen. There's no need to escape." With a smile, Lu Ming's 9 dragons bloodline emerged, and the devouring power erupted with a loud bang, enveloping the entire Masha clan. Then, under the middle-aged man's horrified gaze, the bodies of the rest of the Masha clan quickly withered, except for the 4th-level spiritual god realm. In the end, they lost their vitality and turned into mummies. Whoosh. With a snap of Lu Ming's fingers, a ray of spear radiance flew out and killed the 4th-level spiritual god realm Masha clan member. His blood essence and energy were also devoured by the 9 dragons. Chapter 1140. 1140 Kill them all. This. The middle-aged man's eyes widened, and he was stunned. 7 spiritual god realm Masha clansmen, with the highest being at the 4th level of the spiritual god realm, were killed by Lu Ming in an instant. The middle-aged man suspected that he was dreaming. Moreover, Lu Ming looked so young. His combat strength was simply unimaginable. "Big brother, it's settled." Lu Ming smiled and kept the 9 dragons' bloodline. He split a part of his attention to begin refining. "Small, you're amazing, you're really amazing. I'm impressed." The middle-aged man stuttered and sighed. Lu Ming smiled and did not say much. "I'm Dushan. What's your name, little brother?" the middle-aged man said. "Lu Ming." Lu Ming answered. "Brother Lu, I have something important to do. I can't accompany you anymore. Little brother, you have to be careful." After Dushan finished speaking, he was about to fly in a direction. "Big brother Du, what do you want? Maybe Lu Ming can be of help." Lu Ming stopped Dushan. It was not easy for them to meet another human warrior. Lu Ming was just about to ask him about Xian Yanqing. How could he let Dushan leave so easily? The human clan's gathering place I'm at is being attacked by the Devil clan. I received the news and wanted to rush back to help, but I didn't expect to be blocked by the Devil clan here. Dushan sighed and was slightly anxious. "A gathering place of the human race? I'll go with you." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. "All right, with little brother's help, we might be saved." Dushan's eyes also lit up. Lu Ming's combat strength was unfathomable and extremely powerful. He had the intention to ask Lu Ming for help, but Lu Ming had just saved his life and asked him to take the risk with him. He was too embarrassed to ask. Now that Lu Ming had taken the initiative to ask, he was naturally overjoyed. At that moment, Dushan led the way while Lu Ming followed Dushan. They flew at top speed towards the north. After flying for hundreds of thousands of miles, he heard heaven-suppressing battle cries. In the distance, A fortress made of a strange metal could be seen. Around the fortress, an intense battle was taking place. There were over 1,000 of them, surrounding the fortress. Among them, there were many existences with powerful auras. Luming used his spiritual senses to scan and discovered that there were dozens of spiritual god-level Masha clan members. The rest were advanced-stage spiritual embryo Masha clan members. There were only a few people in the fortress, about 20 or so, and all of them were spirit god powerhouses. They were fighting against the Devil clan, but they were clearly at a disadvantage. Human, go to hell. With a shrill scream, one of the Mo Sha clansmen had a particularly powerful aura. He held a black and sharp bone spur in each hand, and his body was like a lightning bolt as he charged toward a human expert. The human expert had a cultivation of the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. However, he was unable to put up any resistance against the Devil clan. The bone spike pierced through his glabella, and he was killed without even being able to let out a miserable cry. Peak 5th level spiritual god realm. Luming could tell at a glance that this person from the demonic Sha clan had a cultivation at the peak of the 5th level of the spiritual god realm. He was the strongest existence in the demonic Sha clan. As for the human martial artists, the strongest was only at the 4th level of the spiritual god realm. Damn it, kill. When Dushan saw this, he shouted and charged forward with his battle axe. Another one is here to die. The 5th level spiritual god realm fiend clansman's eyes were cold as he swept his gaze at Dushan. He sneered and his demonic chi rolled. He flapped his pair of spikes and pounced toward Luming like lightning. A battle axe floated above Dushan's head. It was Dushan's bloodline, a 4th level divine level bloodline. Dushan transformed into a battle axe and slashed at his opponent.
Ding, 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 ding.
2 crisp sounds rang out. The battle axe that Dushan had transformed into a sent flying far away.
Die!
The Devil clan member shrieked. The bone spike in his hand was thin and long, but it was extremely hard and sharp. It seemed to be able to pierce through everything as it stabbed towards Dushan.
Buzz!
Buzz! 2 teeth-numbing sounds rang out as the bone spikes of the Mo Sha clan pierced through the battle axe Dushan had transformed into. An angry roar came from the battle axe. The battle axe trembled and dispersed, turning back into Dushan's figure. His face was pale as he retreated quickly.
Die!
The Devil clansman's eyes were cold. The bone spur pierced through the air, aiming for Dushan's forehead. Right at this moment, a palm that was like a blade suddenly appeared and slashed at the bone spike. A terrifying power erupted, and the bone spike was broken into dozens of pieces with a clang. The palm blade cut horizontally and struck the shoulder of the demon Sha. Bang! The Devil clansman's shoulder exploded, and he was sent flying like a cannonball, killing a few spirit embryo realm Devil clansmen. Roar! The 9 dragons roared, and the devouring power burst forth, enveloping the Masha clansmen. The energy and blood essence of the spirit embryo realm demons were instantly devoured, turning them into dried corpses. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level spiritual god realm demons screamed in horror and turned into mummies under the devouring power. The human warriors were all stunned. As for the remaining Mo Sha clansmen, they roared madly and wanted to escape. However, under the terrifying devouring power, they felt as if they were stuck in a quagmire and could not move at all. Kill! Luming rushed past them and cut down all the Masha clan members, as if he was cutting grass.
Buzz!
The 5th level spiritual god realm Masha clansman was only injured, but not dead. He flapped his wings and turned into a demonic light, trying to escape. He knew that a top human expert had come, and that one move had severely injured him. If he didn't escape, he would die. However, he was shocked to find that he could not escape at all. Luming's figure was like a flickering light and a passing shadow. He caught up with the 5th level spiritual god realm Masha clan in an instant and appeared behind him. Let's die together. Torrential rain massacre. Seeing that they couldn't escape, the devil clansman let out an angry roar. His demonic chi soared into the sky, and he spread his wings. His entire body began to spin in the air. Its wings were like two sabers that cut through the air, bringing with them a storm of attacks. It was like a terrifying tornado that could destroy everything as it swept towards Lu Ming. Two streams of dragon power burst forth in Lu Ming's body. He then executed the prison-suppressing heaven technique and struck down with his palm. This palm strike was like a heavenly blade, possessing the power to suppress everything.
Boom.
The storm of attacks from the Masha clan collapsed instantly. The palm blade landed on the body of the Masha clan, killing him. All his energy and blood essence were devoured by Lu Ming. In the castle, the humans' eyes were wide open, as if they had yet to react. Brother Lu Ming, thank you for saving me again. Otherwise,
Sigh.
Du Shan walked over to thank Lu Ming, his voice full of emotion. If not for Lu Ming, he would have been dead. At this time, the human warriors in the castle finally reacted and flew over to thank him. They were even more shocked when they saw that Lu Ming had such combat abilities at such a young age. I've heard that there are many heaven's favorites in the outside world. The 5 magnates are the most powerful ones among the young generation. But in my opinion, Brother Lu, I'm afraid you're even stronger than the 5 magnates. An old man with white hair sighed. Every year, some people would be exiled here by the royal family. They had stayed in the demon realm for a long time, so they knew some things about the outside world. Chapter 1141. 1141 Chapter 1141 Devil Tablet Mountain. Lu Ming said that he did not dare to, and then chatted with everyone for a while. Through their conversation, Lu Ming learned that these people, without exception, had offended the royal family or the powerful figures of the ancient Saint dynasty. There were even experts from the overlord forces among them. They might not know each other in the outside world, but they were very united in the Abyss Demon realm. If they didn't work together in the Abyss Demon territory, they would eventually be defeated by the Fiend clan and buried here. Similarly, the Imperial family had set points for them. As long as they could complete it, they would be let out. However, the height of the points made people despair. However, they were all experts of the spiritual god realm and could live for 5,000 years. They were not willing to be locked up in the Abyss Demon territory for the rest of their lives. Therefore, they held on to the hope that they could accumulate enough points and leave this place. Therefore, they would constantly hunt down the Devil Clan, and in turn, the Devil Clan would kill them. That was why the Devil Clan had attacked the city today. In reality, it was common for the Fiend Clan to attack cities. However, the Fiend Clan that had come today was slightly stronger, and there were a lot more of them. Little Brother Lu, let's have a chat in the castle? Du Shan invited. No need, but I do have a question that I would like to consult with all the seniors. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, What question? There's no harm in just saying it. As long as I know, I'll definitely tell you. The others chimed in. Dear seniors, have you seen the 16th princess? Lu Ming asked. The 16th princess? Are you talking about the 16th princess who has the bloodline of the royal family? I've not seen her, but I've heard that she's in the demon realm of Tartarus. Du Shan pondered for a moment and said. Many others also shook their heads. I've met Princess 16 once. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat when he heard the voice. It was the white-haired old woman. Senior, when was it? Where have you seen it before? Lu Ming asked anxiously. About a few months ago, about a few million miles away from here. I talked to the 16th princess, and she said she wanted to go to the Devil Tablet Mountain. The old woman replied.
What?
The Devil Tablet Mountain. The others all gasped. Lu Ming's heart tightened, and he said, The Devil Tablet Mountain? Is it very dangerous? It is indeed dangerous, Brother Lu. The Devil Tablet Mountain is a forbidden area in the Nine Serenities, Devil Domain. Many powerful Devil clan members have entered it, but they all died there. Humans are no exception. There's no exit. Du Shan sighed. There's no exit? Lu Ming started to feel anxious. Why would Xia Nianqing go to such a dangerous place? Seniors, do you have a map to the Devil Tablet Mountain? Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, you want to go to the Devil Tablet Mountain? It's really dangerous there. Although the inside of the Devil Tablet Mountain is extremely dangerous, there are many powerful Mo Sha clan members around the mountain. They cultivate in the outer area of the mountain and hope to get some opportunities. Therefore, the outer area of the mountain is also very dangerous. Little brother, you must be careful. The white-haired old woman persuaded. Thank you, seniors, but Lu Ming must go to the Devil Tablet Mountain. Lu Ming's tone was firm. Now that he knew of Xia Nianqing's whereabouts and that he might even be in danger, he had to go even if it meant going through mountains of daggers and seas of flames. Seeing Lu Ming's firm attitude, Du Shan, the white-haired old Ou, and the rest heaved a long sigh and did not try to persuade him anymore. In the end, the white-haired old Ou took out a map and gave it to Lu Ming. The map was very rough, but it roughly depicted the terrain and location of some parts of the Abyss Demon territory. On it was the general route of the 9 Nether Demon Tablet Mountain. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming will take his leave. Lu Ming kept the map and bade everyone farewell. He did not want to delay any further. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light, passing through the night sky and heading in the direction of the Devil Tablet Mountain at top speed. On the way, Lu Ming cast the illusionary breath technique and darkened his aura, making it somewhat similar to the aura of the Masha clan. Indeed, it saved him a lot of trouble along the way. The number of Masha clan members who attacked him was greatly reduced. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. He was hurrying along. A few months ago, Xia Nianqing went to the Devil Tablet Mountain.
He should have been there by now.
The Devil Tablet Mountain was so dangerous. How is Xia Nianqing doing? At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart was burning with anxiety. He could not wait to rush to Xia Nianqing's side. The Devil's Tablet Mountain was in the depths of the Abyss Demon territory. It was very far from the castle, where Du Shan and the rest were. At Lu Ming's speed, it took him 5 days to reach the area where the Devil's Tablet Mountain was. Lu Ming stood high in the sky and looked into the distance. He was a little shocked. This area was filled with mountains. There were all sorts of strange plants growing in the mountain range. However, there was a mountain peak that stood out among the mountains. It could be seen at a glance even from a great distance. It was because the mountain peak was too majestic. It was like a group of cranes standing among the mountains. It was high up in the sky, and no one knew how high it was. The mountain was shrouded in black mist, and it was impossible to see the specific situation of the mountain peak. Is that the Devil Tablet Mountain? Lu Ming pondered in his heart, his eyes filled with shock and doubt. Ever since he got close to this place, he felt that the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel in his body was emitting a hot aura, as if it was about to appear from his spine. What's going on? Why did the Devil Tablet Mountain cause the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline to change? Lu Ming could not understand. Let's go. With a thought, Lu Ming flew toward the huge mountain that was filled with black mist. As they got closer, they could feel the magnificence of the giant mountain even more. The other peaks were also considered majestic and tall, but when compared to this peak, they were far inferior. The change in the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline also became more intense. What? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He felt a strong fluctuation in front of him. It was not just one but several. Each of them contained a powerful demonic might, and there were experts from the Mo Sha clan. Lu Ming restrained his aura to the extreme and flew forward. That human girl has obtained a treasure in the Devil Tablet Mountain. We cannot let that treasure fall into the hands of the human race. Let's attack together and kill her. Let's go together. That human girl has been surrounded and can't escape. She must die today. The treasures of the Devil Tablet Mountain belong to our Devil clan. A few shriveled and unpleasant sounds rang out as a few figures flew past in front of him. They were all from the demonic Sha clan, and their auras were very strong. With a quick glance, Lu Ming discovered that a few of them were at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm. Could the person they're talking about be Little Qing? Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed, and he followed the 3 demons from a distance.
Boom.
Boom. Chi-chi. Not long after, a violent roar came from the front, as well as the sound of sharp weapons piercing through the air. The battle was still ongoing. This made Lu Ming's heart relax a little. In front of them, a few Mo Sha clansmen increased their speed and flew over like lightning. They flew over a few mountains and joined the battle, while roaring. Not good. Using the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps, Lu Ming's figure crossed the last few hundred miles in an instant and arrived at the battlefield. In front of them, more than a dozen powerful demons were attacking a human woman. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat when he saw the woman. The woman was wearing a long black dress. Her beauty was unparalleled. Who else could it be but Xian Yanqing? Chapter 1142. 1142 Chapter 1142 Meeting Yanqing again. Who else could the beautiful lady in front of him be other than Xian Yanqing, whom Lu Ming had been thinking about day and night? It had been more than 3 years since Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing parted ways in 9 Dragons. After not seeing him for 3 years, Xian Yanqing had matured a little, but he had also lost some weight. His face and eyes were very cold. At this moment, Xian Yanqing's body was filled with demonic qi. He gently pressed his palms, and a terrifying force field spread out in a radius of 100 miles, destroying everything. At the same time, there was a beautiful woman sitting on top of Xian Yanqing's head. She was surrounded by demonic power and demonic qi. She sat cross-legged on a black lotus and kept striking out with her palms to block the attacks from all directions. This was Xian Yanqing's bloodline, the 3rd bloodline. It was very similar to his 2nd bloodline, but there were 9 golden chakra rings around his body. Divine level 9th rank bloodline. Moreover, Xian Yanqing's cultivation had also entered the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. There were 11 people attacking Xian Yanqing. The 11 fiend clan members were all at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm. Each of them held a bone spike in their hands and attacked Xian Yanqing fiercely. Xian Yanqing's fearsome force field covered an area of 100 miles. The speed of the fiends was greatly affected. Even though Xian Yanqing focused on defense, he was still at a disadvantage. If this continued, defeat was imminent. Little girl, hand over the demonic statue, and I can leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, you will end up in a miserable state. This human girl is really a national beauty. Even I'm tempted by her. After I capture her, I'll let her have a taste of my power. A series of unpleasant and ear-piercing sounds rang out. You're looking for death. At that moment, the killing intent in Lu Ming's heart exploded. In his body, the 8 dragon powers suddenly burst out, filling his body with an extremely powerful strength. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged into Xian Yanqing's force field like a black spear. He activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique and threw a punch at one of the demons. This devil clansman had never thought that someone would attack him at this time. He reacted and wanted to dodge, but it was too late.
Bang!
Lu Ming's punch landed directly on the back of the Masha clansman. A terrifying force exploded, piercing a large hole in the Masha clansman's body and killing him in one blow. When Xian Yanqing heard the commotion, he thought that more reinforcements from the Fiend clan had arrived, so he instinctively looked in their direction. When she saw Lu Ming's figure, her delicate body trembled, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, her gaze was completely focused on Lu Ming. She could not move her eyes away. Buzz. A sharp sound was heard as it approached Xian Yinqing. Be careful. Lu Ming was shocked and furious. He rushed towards Xian Yinqing at top speed. At this moment, one of the demons seized the opportunity to attack Xian Yinqing. After Lu Ming's shout, Xian Yinqing finally reacted. He activated his force field and retreated quickly. However, he was still a step too late. His shoulder was pierced by the sharp bone spur of the Fiend clan. A small wound appeared and blood flowed out. You're looking for death. Lu Ming let out a long howl as his third bloodline emerged. A trace of energy surged into Lu Ming's body, causing his hair and eyes to turn blood red. Kill. His third bloodline turned into a combat sword. Lu Ming held the blood-colored combat sword in his hand and used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps to appear in front of the sneak-attacking Fiend clan member. He slashed out with his sword, and a sword light burst forth, directly splitting the 6th-level spiritual god realm expert into 2. Lu Ming. Xian Yinqing did not care about his injuries. His eyes were still fixed on Lu Ming. He did not want to look away. She was afraid. She was afraid that all of this was just an illusion, a dream. Once she looked away, everything in front of her would disappear. She had already lost count of how many times she had had such a dream. Little Qing, I'm here. Lu Ming reached out and held Xian Yinqing's small hand. Xian Yinqing's hand was cold. The heat from Lu Ming's palm was transmitted to Xian Yinqing's small hand. Xian Yinqing's body trembled, and tears welled up in his big eyes. Lu Ming, really? Is it really you? I'm not dreaming? Xian Yinqing looked at Lu Ming in a daze. His little hand clutched Lu Ming's big hand tightly, as if he was afraid that Lu Ming would disappear if he let go. Idiot, it's really me. Let's kill these Fiend clan members first. Lu Ming said gently, then scanned his surroundings. Lu Ming's sudden appearance and his lightning-fast killing of 2 of the Masha clan's experts shocked the other Masha clan members. They retreated far away and did not attack for a while. He's also a human at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. Just now, he launched a surprise attack and killed the 2 of us. There's nothing to be afraid of. If we join forces, it's enough to kill them. One of the Mo Sha clansmen said, his eyes cold. That's right, let's attack together and kill. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The remaining 9 demons attacked at the same time. The bone spikes in their palms pierced through the air and shot toward Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing. Sky Devil Force Field. Xian Yinqing finally collected his thoughts. With a shout, he pressed his palm, and a terrifying force field exploded. After 3 years, Xian Yinqing had awakened his 3rd bloodline, and his cultivation had reached the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. Her force field seemed to have made a breakthrough and become even more terrifying. The demonic energy field enveloped the area. At the same time, there was a terrifying destructive power in the energy field, which greatly reduced the speed of the Masha clan. However, Lu Ming was not affected at all. This intent. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He realized that Xian Yinqing's intent realm was more powerful than before. It was a terrifying demonic intent realm. Without much time to think, Lu Ming stepped forward. His killing intent was like a tide as he charged towards the Masha clan. He realized that the 8th dragon power was indeed powerful. Now that all 8 dragon powers were unleashed, his combat power was even stronger than before. Buzz. Lu Ming appeared in front of one of the Masha clansmen. His cold killing intent enveloped him, causing the Masha clansman to shudder. Whoosh. The blood-red sword light slashed toward the Fiend clansman. The terrifying power shocked the Fiend clansman, and he hurriedly blocked it with his bone spur. The bone spur was broken with a clang. With a flash of sword light, the arm of the demon Sha was cut off. The Masha clansman was horrified. He wanted to escape, but Lu Ming's second sword attack was launched. Puchi. Blood spurted out, and a head flew high into the air. A 6th-level spiritual god realm demonic Sha clan member was killed in an instant. If Lu Ming were to deal with a 6th-level spiritual god realm demonic Sha clan alone, it would not be so easy to kill him without a sneak attack. It would most likely take some effort. However, with Xian Yinqing's help, killing a 6th-level spiritual god realm Mo Sha was a piece of cake. Buzz. After killing the one from the Masha clan, Lu Ming went on to kill another. At this moment, the two of them seemed to have returned to the past, back to the time when they were adventuring together in the East Continent. At that time, the two of them had also cooperated like this. The cooperation between the two of them was already very tacit. Chapter 1143. 1143 Chapter 1143 You finally came. Lotus Sword Kill.
Die.
Xian Yinqing shouted. Black lotus flowers appeared around her. The petals formed a black lotus sword in the sky and attacked the Fiend clan. Each of the lotus swords was terrifyingly powerful. With intent lingering around them, they cut through the sky and directly cut open a hideous hole in the space. The Fiend clan members could only divert their attention to block the lotus swords, and their combat strength was once again affected. Puchi. Lu Ming rushed over and killed another Masha clan member in less than 2 moves. Not good. The cooperation between these two is too terrifying. Some of the Mo Sha clansmen cried out in fear. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing's cooperation was terrifyingly powerful. It was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. Their combat strength had increased by several times. The Devil clan retreated. What are you afraid of? Let's attack together. At this moment, an ear-piercing sound was heard. Not far away, a terrifying sharp light flew over, emitting a powerful aura. 7th-level spiritual god realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was a 7th-level spiritual god realm demon. When they discovered that a 7th-level spiritual god realm fiend had appeared, the other fiend clan's confidence increased greatly. The 7th level of the spiritual god realm was much more powerful than the 6th level. Kill. Kill. The Masha clan tried their best to break through the force field and charged toward Lu Ming. Whoosh. The 7th-level spiritual god realm fiend immediately charged at Xian Yinqing. He could already tell that Xian Yinqing had too much influence in the group battle. It would be much easier to deal with Lu Ming after dealing with Xian Yinqing. The 7th-level spiritual god realm Masha clansmen charged into the heavenly demonic force field, emitting a demonic shriek as they collided with the force field, bringing with them a series of flames. However, he still broke through the force field and charged towards Xian Yinqing. Xian Yinqing waved his hands, and the Black Lotus sword flew towards his opponent, but it was also deflected by his opponent's bone spurs. Kill. At this moment, Lu Ming's figure moved and appeared in front of the 7th-level spiritual god realm Masha clansman. He slashed out with his blood-red combat sword and collided with the other party's bone spur. With a ding, Lu Ming and the other party retreated at the same time. The Masha clansman was taken aback. He did not expect Lu Ming to be so powerful. He was only at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm, but he could actually force him to retreat. Roar. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming combined his bloodline and transformed into 9 dragons. The 9 dragons roared, and their devouring power burst forth. Together with Xian Yinqing's force field, they enveloped the Masha. At the same time, he used the 9 dragons step and charged toward the Devil clan. On the other side, Xian Yinqing also used bloodline fusion and turned into a magnificent otherworldly demon. His demonic power was vast, and his force field was even stronger. He pressed down with his jade-like hand, and a black jade-like palm print pressed toward the fiend.
Boom.
Boom. Facing the joint attack of the two, the 7th-level spiritual god realm Masha clan was forced to retreat and spit out large mouthfuls of blood. Prison guard kill. With the 9 dragon steps, every inch of his body was able to unleash the Strangle Hell Heaven technique. The dragon claws swiped down, and the dragon tail swept down. It was extremely terrifying. Moreover, Lu Ming had once comprehended a true dragon combat technique from the Myriad Elephant Jade Wall of the Tianxia Academy. When they worked together, they were even more powerful. Bang! Blood kept spurting out of the mouth of the devil clansman. His last wing was torn off by the 9 dragon's claws. Then, the sky demon that Xian Yanqing had turned into slammed his palm on the chest of the fiend, almost splitting him into pieces. Although he didn't die, he was half dead. No, no!
Run!
The devil clansman roared and wanted to escape. At this moment, he was extremely frightened. He had never expected that 2 ants at the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm would be so powerful. The 2 of them had joined forces and actually beat him, a 7th-level spiritual god realm existence, to the point where he had no power to fight back. However, it was too late for him to escape now.
Bang!
The 9 dragons' dragon claws swiped down and smashed into the head of the devil clansman, piercing through his head. A 7th-level spiritual god realm martial artist died. Run! The hearts of the remaining Emo Sha clansmen almost stopped beating.
This was too terrifying.
An expert in the 7th level of the spiritual god realm had died, just like that. It had only been a few moves. All of you stay. The 9 dragons roared, and the devouring power spread rapidly, engulfing the rest of the devil clan. At the same time, Xian Yanqing's demonic force field expanded and enveloped all the demons. Roar! With the 9 dragon steps, he instantly appeared in front of one of the Masha clansmen. With a swipe of his claws, he killed the man. The sky demon that Xian Yanqing had transformed into also stepped forward and slapped down with her jade-like palm. One of the fiend clan members was torn apart. With the 2 of them working together, killing a 6th-level spiritual god realm demonic Sha was as easy as chopping vegetables. No matter how much the fiend demons roared, it was useless. They were all killed. In less than a minute, the remaining demons were all killed, and their blood essence and energy were all devoured by the 9 dragons. At that moment, the 9 dragons shrunk rapidly and turned back into Lu Ming. Xian Yanqing also kept his blood meridian. The 2 of them stood in the air and looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with longing for each other. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing exclaimed. After the battle, Xian Yanqing was finally sure that everything was real and not a dream. Lu Ming had really come to the Abyss Demon territory, and she had really seen him. At the same time, the 2 of them walked toward each other. They were very close to each other, and they stared at each other. Xian Yanqing couldn't hold back the tears in his eyes anymore. They flowed down his cheeks. Little Qing. Lu Ming reached out and wiped away the tears on Xian Yanqing's face. Lu Ming, you're finally here. Xian Yanqing pounced into Lu Ming's arms. Lu Ming hugged Xian Yanqing tightly, as if he wanted to pull Xian Yanqing into his body and never separate. Little Qing, let's leave this place first, Lu Ming said. A great battle had just taken place here, so who knew when the devil clan would come again? Xian Yanqing nodded. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and randomly chose a direction to fly in. After traveling more than 100,000 miles, Lu Ming found a hidden place, and the 2 of them entered the mountain and river diagram. An estate world treasure? Xian Yanqing blinked his eyes. Okay, little Qing, you should heal first, Lu Ming asked in concern. Xian Yanqing's shoulder had been stabbed just now, and it was not a light injury. Xian Yanqing nodded, sat down cross-legged and began to heal. Half a day later, Xian Yinqing's injuries were completely healed. On a mountain peak in the mountain and river diagram, the two of them sat side by side. Xian Yinqing's head was on Lu Ming's shoulder as they chatted about their experiences during this period of time. The two of them had not seen each other for more than 3 years and had too many things to say. Lu Ming told him about his experiences over the past few years. Xian Yinqing's heart was in turmoil. Every time he heard that Lu Ming was in danger, Xian Yinqing would exclaim softly and worry for Lu Ming. At this moment, Xian Yinqing had completely turned into a little woman. She leaned on Lu Ming's shoulder and hugged his arm. She would not talk back to Lu Ming, but she would also shout and want to step on him. She just wanted to listen to Lu Ming quietly. That was enough. Chapter 1144. 1144 Reunion after a long separation. When Lu Ming told him about how he came to the Holy City, participated in the competition of the younger generation, and how he entered the Abyss Demon territory, Xian Yinqing's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. Lu Ming, you've been deceived by them. Like me, it's very difficult to get 10,000 points. Then, he looked at Lu Ming affectionately and said, Lu Ming, why are you so silly? It's all because of me that you're in this place. You fool, if I didn't come here to find you myself, I wouldn't be at ease. By the way, did you come here after you came back from 9 Dragons? Lu Ming asked. Xian Yinqing nodded and said, when I first came back, Xie Qitian sent someone to send me to the Abyss Demon territory. Unfortunately, although they knew that my bloodline was inclined to darkness, they didn't know that my bloodline was the heavenly demon bloodline. In the Abyss Demon territory, I was like a fish in water. My cultivation speed was faster than the outside world. Moreover, I've awakened the 3rd bloodline. Using the demon chi and demon stones, my cultivation speed was even faster. At this point, Xian Yinqing's voice turned cold. He seemed to be filled with hatred for the Xie family. Lu Ming tightened his grip on Xian Yinqing's arm. One could imagine that Xian Yinqing had been struggling and cultivating alone in the Abyss Demon territory for the past few years. He had been walking on the edge of life and death. Otherwise, he would not have such a high cultivation level. At the thought of this, Lu Ming's heart ached. Lu Ming, I'm so happy that you're here. Xian Yinqing's voice whispered in Lu Ming's ear. Lu Ming's head turned slightly. He looked at the beautiful face that was right in front of him and felt Xian Yinqing's gentle breathing. He could only feel his heart beating rapidly. This unpolished face was peerless and alluring. The faint smile that was brimming on her face seemed to be Lu Ming's everything. The two of them had not seen each other for a long time, so they naturally had a moment of warmth. It's really painful to the eyes. After an unknown period of time, a sudden cry interrupted the two of them. The two of them opened their eyes at the same time and saw Dandan not far away, staring at them with her eyes wide open. Xian Yinqing's face turned red. Even his ears and neck were red. Continue, you guys continue, don't worry about me. When he saw the two of them looking at him, Dandan said leisurely. Get lost. Lu Ming swung his palm, and a palm print condensed from quintessential essence blasted toward Dandan. Dandan was sent flying like a rock by Lu Ming's palm.
Arg.
Lu Ming, you're a guy who values your lover over your friends. No, I mean you're a guy who values your seniors over your friends. Dandan's voice came from far away. In the end, it turned into a black and disappeared in the air. No one knew how far it had flown. After Dandan's ruckus, the two's boiling blood also calmed down. You, lecherous. Xian Yinqing tidied up his messy clothes and said with a red face. Lu Ming chuckled and held Xian Yinqing's hand. Little Qing, why did those Mo Sha race attack you earlier? Because of a golem, Xian Yinqing said. Then, a demon statue appeared in her hand. The demonic statue was very small, only the size of a fist, but it exuded a terrifying demonic will. This demonic will was arrogant and overbearing, as if it wanted to destroy the heavens and dominate the world. What a strong demonic intent. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. It was only a golem, and it was already so terrifying. This golem was definitely a valuable treasure to cultivators of the demonic path or to the Fiend clan. No wonder so many powerful people from the Fiend clan wanted to surround Xian Yanqing. I obtained this devil statue from the Devil Tablet Mountain, Xian Yanqing said. Then he put away the golem, and the pressure around him disappeared. Little Qing, did you really enter the Devil Tablet Mountain? I heard that it's very dangerous there, and everyone who entered died. Although he knew that Xian Yanqing was fine, Lu Ming could not help but worry. I've heard that the Devil Tablet Mountain is indeed very dangerous. In the past, many Devil Clan and human warriors had died. However, I don't know why, but when I get close to this place, I feel a strong throbbing in my heart, as if I'm being summoned by something. There seems to be something on the Devil Tablet Mountain that is attracting me. That's why I took the risk and entered the Devil Tablet Mountain. But the strange thing is that I didn't encounter any danger when I entered the Devil Tablet Mountain. Instead, I obtained an opportunity and had a breakthrough in my cultivation. Otherwise, I wouldn't have my current cultivation, and I would still be able to bring out this devil statue. Xian Yanqing said. You also have this feeling? What is it that is attracting you? Lu Ming was shocked. Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Don't tell me you have one too. That's right. Ever since I got close to the Devil Tablet Mountain, my second bloodline has been burning and restless. It's as if something is attracting it. If I didn't control it, it would have appeared on its own. Lu Ming frowned slightly. He felt that this was very unbelievable. Little Qing, what's in the Devil Tablet Mountain? I don't know. I was just walking around the outer area and didn't go in. The Devil Tablet Mountain was covered in fog, and I couldn't see clearly. I was planning to study this devil statue before entering the Devil Tablet Mountain, Xian Yanqing said. Then, the two of them discussed for a while more, but they still couldn't come to a conclusion. In the end, they decided to go and explore the Devil Tablet Mountain. This was because there was no danger when Xian Yanqing entered. The two of them chatted for a while more before walking out of the mountain and river diagram and looking at the Devil Tablet Mountain in the distance. Even though they were very far apart, Lu Ming's prison-suppressing steel bloodline still throbbed. As for Xian Yanqing, the bloodline at her spine was also emitting a faint blood-red light. Chapter 1145. 1145 Chapter 1145 Entering the Devil Tablet Mountain. The two of them concealed their auras and moved closer to the Devil Tablet Mountain. Along the way, they sensed the aura of the Mo Sha clan, and the two of them went around them. The two of them were getting closer and closer to the Devil Tablet Mountain. The closer they got, the more the prison-suppressing steel bloodline in Lu Ming's body throbbed and felt hot. Soon, the two of them were 100 miles away from the Devil Tablet Mountain. There was already a faint black mist permeating the air. The two of them didn't back off and continued to move forward. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed 100 miles and entered the Devil Tablet Mountain's territory. Mo, Mo, Mo. Suddenly, a loud roar rang in Lu Ming's mind. This voice was filled with a lawless feeling, but it also revealed a sense of helplessness and unwillingness. Black mist filled the air. With their cultivation, they could only see within 20 meters. Moreover, there was a terrifying pressure on the two of them, making it difficult for them to fly. They could only land on the ground and walk forward. Little Qing, be careful. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and walked forward carefully. Buzz. Lu Ming's spine was suffused with a blood-red light. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was beating continuously, and it was getting stronger. Lu Ming controlled the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline and did not let it manifest. The two of them walked for half a day and felt that they were already halfway up the mountain. They were getting closer and closer to the peak. That throbbing feeling came from the top of the mountain. Xian Yanqing's presence here also had a strong attraction to it, and it made her bloodline throb. So many bones. All of a sudden, Lu Ming noticed that there were skeletons on the ground. The skeleton wasn't big, and it was obvious that it was from the Devil Clan. It was rumored that many of the Devil Clan had died here. It seemed to be true. Furthermore, these skeletons all had storage rings on their fingers. Xian Yanqing grabbed a storage ring in the air. The next moment, he took out a pile of black stones from the storage ring. The stones emitted a strong demonic qi. This is a demonic stone. It's very useful for those who cultivate the demonic path. To me, it's even more useful than a raw stone. Xian Yanqing explained. There are many storage rings here. They might contain magic stones.
Take them.
They will be of great use to you when we leave this place in the future. Lu Ming said. He reached out and drew in the storage rings one by one, handing them to Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing cultivated the demonic Tao, so these demonic stones were most suitable for him. Xian Yanqing took them and kept them one by one. Then, the two of them searched around and found many bones of the Mo Sha clan. Of course, there were also the bones of humans, but they were very few.
Devil.
Devil. Devil. At this point, the sound became louder and louder. This sound was directly transmitted to the mind, and not through the ears. It was as if there was a peerless demon emperor shouting and roaring from above. The two of them continued to move forward. Along the way, they collected the storage rings of every Devil Clan skeleton they came across. Along the way, they collected no less than 100 storage rings and a large number of demonic stones. Just these storage rings alone were a huge profit. After another half a day, the two of them finally reached the top of the mountain. The two of them did not encounter any danger along the way. This made the two of them secretly amazed. The Devil Tablet Mountain was very dangerous, and anyone who entered would die. This sentence could be verified by the bones of the Devil Clan and Human Clan along the way. However, the two of them had been very calm along the way. Other than the constant demonic sounds, there was no other movement.
Buzz.
When he arrived, Lu Ming's spine was filled with a bloody light. The prison-suppressing steel's blood meridian was beating wildly. Even Lu Ming himself could not suppress it. The bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel emerged with a loud vibration. It expanded rapidly and shook violently.
Buzz.
In front of them, on the mountaintop, there was a terrifying tremor. Then they saw the black fog roll and split into two. The scenery in front of them was completely exposed. Seeing the scene in front of them, their hearts trembled and they were dumbfounded. There was another stone tablet in front of him. A stone tablet. This stone tablet was extremely huge. It was like a majestic mountain. On the stone tablet, there was only one big word tablet. There was only one word, tablet, at the top of the stone tablet. It was uneven, as if it was not a complete stone tablet, but only a part of it. The stone tablet was filled with an ancient aura. Its color was very similar to Lu Ming's prison-suppressing steel bloodline.
Buzz.
Lu Ming's prison-suppressing steel bloodline flew out and stopped in front of the steel. The two of them kept shaking and emitted a bright light, as if they were responding to each other. Lu Ming, why do I feel that your bloodline is so similar to this stone tablet? It's as if they're one. Xian Yanqing was extremely surprised. Lu Ming himself was also extremely shocked. This was because he felt that this stone tablet gave him a very familiar feeling. He knew that the throbbing earlier had all come from this stone tablet. The two stone tablets trembled, and brilliant light filled the air. The Masha clansmen around the Devil Tablet Mountain also noticed it. The strange movement of the Devil Tablet Mountain. Could it be that a peerless treasure has appeared? It's a brilliant light. A peerless demonic treasure has appeared. Let's go and take a look. Figures gathered at the Devil Tablet Mountain one after another. Each of them exuded a mighty demonic aura. They were all experts from the Devil clan. Even the weakest among them was at the 5th level of the spiritual god realm. There were even experts at the 7th level of the spiritual god realm. A group of Mo Sha appeared 100 miles away from the Devil Tablet Mountain. At this moment, the black mist on the top of the Devil Tablet Mountain became very thin. One could clearly see the huge stone tablet shining brightly. However, the Devil clan stopped here and didn't dare to go any closer. The Devil Tablet Mountain's reputation wasn't just for show. Anyone who entered would die, so they stopped. However, when they saw the stone monument shining with a blinding light, the Devil clan couldn't help but give in. Now that the Devil Tablet Mountain has changed, it might not be dangerous. That's right. I saw that human girl go in and bring out a devil statue. Nothing happened to it. It's time for the Devil Tablet Mountain to come out. Shriveled sounds rang out one after another, and the eyes of many of the Masha clansmen shone with a scorching light. Charge! A portion of the Mo Sha finally couldn't take it anymore and roared as they charged towards the Devil Tablet Mountain. As soon as they entered the range of the Devil Tablet Mountain, a voice rang out in their minds. Devil! 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 The demonic sound filled his mind and was filled with a terrifying destructive power. A few of the 5th and 6th level spiritual god realm demons screamed in pain. Their bodies were like dumplings in a pot, falling from the sky and landing on the ground. They were no longer breathing.
Dead.
At least 20 of them had died in an instant. A few of the 7th level spiritual god realm demonic Sha clansmen roared and retreated frantically, blood flowing from their 7 orifices. It can obliterate souls. A 7th level spiritual god realm demonic Sha clan member roared and retreated hundreds of miles in fear. The other Mo Sha clansmen who didn't move forward were rejoicing. They were rejoicing that they had held back. Otherwise, they would probably end up the same way. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.